Chapter 2162. Yi Zichen, who was on the sofa, raised his eyebrows. What is it? Why aren't you worried at all? Bar frowned when he saw Yi Zichen's expression. He didn't feel any worry from Yi Zichen's tone at all. Yi Zichen seemed very calm, as if nothing had happened. You have to tell me something before I can get worried, right? Boring, Bar twitched his mouth. It's nothing, it's just that the school suddenly changed their mind and increased the training schedule. I'll only be back in a few days. So it's like that, Yi Zichen nodded. I'm not going to waste time with you anymore. I have to level up in the game. Right now, my level is in the top 100 in the family, Bar said proudly. The Steel family. From the main branch to the side branch, then to the subordinates and vassals. There were several tens of millions of people in the family that entered the game. The family had a separate department for the game, Second World, which organized the levels, adventures and contributions of the family members. Among the several tens of millions of people, the fact that Steel Bar's level was still in the top 100 meant that he had been working hard recently. Leveling up. All he needed was hard work and time. I have to maintain my lead, Bar said to himself. The family saw my hard work in the game, so they re-evaluated me. Then you have to work hard, Yi Zichen smiled. Of course, Bar said with confidence. I just don't know what's going on. There's someone called Steel Kiki in our family. His level is ridiculously high. Yi Zichen smiled but didn't say anything. Bar also let out a long sigh. Tell me your game ID, I'll add you as a friend. I don't plan on logging off for a short period of time, I have to level up. In the future, Yi Zichen said honestly. That's more or less enough. In the future, a god that practically everyone in the game knew. Yi Zichen had 2 full server announcements, one of which was Steel Keek's announcement. He cleared the beginner stage of the path of the hero. Tell me your name, I'll add you when I go up. The last hero, Bar. Chunibyu. The last hero? Alright, I'll remember it. I'll add you when I log on. Alright. Bar logged into the game in the living room. Yi Zichen sat on the sofa silently. He couldn't connect to the virtual network either. Due to the problems with the school's core campus, they had also announced that the school would be closed for a short period of a month. In the future, before the campus was rebuilt, they would also use the virtual network to conduct their lessons. 3 days. I'll just take it as a good vacation to relieve some stress. In the surveillance room, a one-eyed man with an eye patch looked at the surveillance in front of him. There were thousands of surveillance cameras, and anyone who looked at them would be dazzled. Unfortunately, his single eye moved back and forth in his eye socket, taking in everything in the scene. Suddenly, the door to the surveillance room was pushed open. General. A man and a woman walked in through the door. They were wearing the same blue and black clothes, and there was an image of a knife and an axe on the chest of their shirt. These people were all from the Universe Mercenary Alliance. The one-eyed man sitting in front of the monitor nodded lightly and looked at the people in front of him. What do you think? We haven't found any traces of the existence of the Red Wanted criminal in the memories of these people. The one who spoke was a woman who looked capable and experienced. She was valiant and heroic, and her voice was sonorous and forceful. Did you guys check too? The one-eyed man tapped on the monitor screen, and one of the images zoomed in. The person zoomed in was shockingly Bayu, who had come to participate in the training trip. We've checked. I was just about to report it to you. The woman nodded seriously. The other people's memories are all complete, only she lost a portion of her memories. Lost? Was it erased by someone or a natural amnesia? The facilities here aren't complete enough. In order to not let them discover our goal, we can only investigate while they are enjoying the entertainment facilities. I can't be sure if it was erased by someone or lost naturally. The woman's reply was still very forceful. This was actually a recreational area. It was built by a wealthy businessman. Blue River students were invited to experience the facilities here, and they hoped that Blue River students could help promote this place. Little did they know, this was all because of the one-eyed general. General, should we isolate him and investigate him separately? Her strength isn't even at domain level. As long as we have enough time, we'll definitely be able to investigate clearly. One of the male members suggested. Yes. The one-eyed general nodded. General. At this moment, the woman who had been talking from the start frowned. She hasn't reached domain level yet. Forcefully investigating her will destroy her brain. So what? If she hasn't reached domain level, she can't be considered a resident of the universe. So what if she dies? Blackie. The woman roared. It doesn't matter if she's a resident of the universe or not, she's still alive. Besides, can you guarantee that she doesn't have a family backing her? Don't forget, this girl is a core member of Blue River. What family could Planet Shell have? It's just a slave planet. Blackie's face was full of disdain, not taking the woman's warning to heart. Afterwards, he didn't want to waste his breath and looked at the one-eyed general. General, please give your orders. I can confirm it, but I must guarantee her safety. Understood. With that, Blackie left the control room. The woman pursed her lips and frowned. General, how can you agree to his request? He definitely won't care about that girl's life. Then follow him. I can't do anything about this decision, the one-eyed general sighed. The time the higher-ups gave me is very short. We must confirm it as soon as possible. Also, Yi Zichen is from Blue River Academy, right? It's best if he can come here as well. That way we can reduce the impact. General, there's something I've been hiding in my heart, but I don't know if I should ask. The woman pursed her lips hesitantly. You shouldn't ask. The one-eyed man interrupted her coldly. Go carry out the mission. Understood. After a long while, the woman bit her lips and left the control room. Only after everyone had left did the one-eyed general let out a long sigh. How could I not know what you want to ask? Did the Milky Way really betray humanity? Did the master of the Milky Way really go to the enemy races? I don't believe it. How could a hero who once swore to defend humanity's dignity and territory do something like that? I also think the Mercenary Alliance has gone crazy. They actually colluded with the Tsangyue Galaxy to put out a bounty. But so what? It doesn't matter if our subordinates believe it or not. At the end of the day, we're just insignificant figures in the Alliance. We don't have the right to make decisions or speak. What we can do is carry out the higher-ups' orders. That's all. Chapter 2163. 3 days. It was fleeting. In the past few days, Yi Zichen had truly experienced life. Actually, he'd just spaced out for 3 days. Nothing was done. He sat in the manor and stared at the sky. Bei-in. When Yi Zichen walked out of his room, he saw Bei-in standing outside anxiously. What happened? Mr. Yi. Bei-in pursed her lips. I've been panicking for the past few days. Is it because Xiao Yu? Don't worry. Yi Zichen grinned. I've asked Bar to find out if there are any changes to Bei Yu's travel plans. They'll be back in a few days. I see. It was obvious that Bei-in was still worried. He smiled at her. Don't worry, when my optical computer arrives, I will immediately contact the people in the school and ask about the specific situation. As he spoke, a beautiful young lady arrived outside the manor. Look, what I said came true. She's from the Union Bank. Go and invite her in. Yes. Standing outside the manor, Naylin was very nervous. Before coming here, she had specially dressed up. Her face and figure were already top-notch, and now she looked even more charming and alluring. Hello. When Bei-in arrived at the manor, Naylin couldn't help but be stunned when he saw her. Planet Peluo. It was said that some rich merchants would have some beauties from the Shell Planet. As for what they were there for, everyone in the Banao industry was very clear about it. It seemed that he would not be able to escape today. Thinking of this, Naylin became even more flustered. After a long time, she heaved a sigh of relief. I'm the person sent by the United Bank to hand over the deposit to Mr. Yi. Please come in. Bai-in invited him to the manor. Into the interior. Only then did Nayland know how big this manor was. This was the location with the highest land value in Blue River Star. Such a large manor would cost at least tens of millions of Bunau dollars. To Nayland, this was an astronomical figure. She kept biting her lips, her heart full of struggle. All of a sudden, this is Mr. Ye's deposit. Please give it to him. I still have other things to do. As soon as her voice fell, Nayland hurriedly left the manor. Bai-yin's face was full of confusion as she held the exquisite box. Where is he? Yi Zichen was stunned when he saw Bai-yin, who had returned alone. She said something came up, so she left early. How? Yi Zichen did not take it to heart. He received the box and signaled Bai-yin to leave. The optical computer left behind by the Master of the Galaxy. The box opened. Yi Zichen saw a thumb-sized sphere under countless layers of materials. This is the AI? Yi Zichen was a bit surprised, then picked up the ball. Hey, are you the lucky one that the Master of the Galaxy mentioned? The moment he touched the sphere, it suddenly turned into a palm-sized sprite. I am Bell, the optical computer left behind by the Milky Way Master for you. The little pixie flew back and forth in front of Yi Zichen. You came a bit too late. I've been waiting for so long. Do you know how long I've waited for you? How long? A very long time. After holding it in for a long time, the little elf blurted out. With that, he circled around Yi Zichen once more. Star level, so weak. Elemental elves, the Master of the Galaxy left them to you? Damn, you can't be his illegitimate son, right? What was going on with this AI? Did he go crazy after holding it in for so long? Never mind, never mind. I'm a bit weak, but I have a decent foundation. I'll reluctantly follow you. As he spoke, Yi Zichen suddenly felt that he had established some sort of connection with the little pixie. We are equals, not superior and subordinate. Yi Zichen nodded. I have already logged your message into the virtual network. There are a lot of unread messages. Do you want to take a look? No need. Yi Zichen wasn't in a rush. He wanted to understand Bell more. Who did you serve before? Outrageous. Bell frowned. I am the great Prince Bell, the royal family of the machine race. How could I serve someone else? Then aren't you serving me right now? We are equals. Equals. Bell shouted. Fine, great Prince Bell. Yi Zichen couldn't be bothered to argue with this palm-sized guy. How much do you know about the Master of the Galaxy? Nope, Bell shrugged. I was captured by him, then sealed away after a few days. How would I know him? Captured? Are you trying to humiliate me? Bell shouted once again. Yi. You have to F*King say that you were captured. Can't I just ask? The Master of the Galaxy was destroyed by our royal family. I was the last member of the royal family, so he asked me if I wanted to live or die. Tell me, what kind of question is he asking? I definitely wanted to live, so he sealed me away. Didn't you just say it yourself? Since you want to say it, then why are you getting angry? Although Bell gave off a strange feeling, Yi Zichen was able to get a general idea from his words. You are an outsider. Nonsense, do you think I'm a human? Bell shouted. I am of the Halimar royal family of the machine race. Our race used to be extremely dazzling. It's all because of that damned Master of the Galaxy. F***ck. The photon computer left behind by the Master of the Galaxy was actually an outsider. If I get found out, then I'm dead for sure. How much do you know about the human universe? Very much, Bell suddenly laughed. Even more than you humans. Don't doubt my words. As enemies, we, the machine race, know you humans very well. Let me tell you a secret. We even know all the elemental lands in your universe. I can also tell you a secret. Many of you humans have secretly traded with us. What? Surprised? Bell shrugged. Quite a few, and all of them are of extremely high levels. For example, sovereigns, overlords, and even some supreme beings. How is that possible? Yizichin was shocked. Nothing is impossible, little guy. You know too little about you humans. Don't think that you humans are very united. We, the machine race, are just too lazy to take over. Otherwise, destroying you humans would be quite difficult. Bell suddenly twitched his mouth. F***ck, you humans have way too many people, and there are always some blockheads, like the Master of the Galaxy. But the Master of the Galaxy is now considered a traitor by the humans. Really? Bell exclaimed. That's great, the universe has one less disaster. But then again, it's normal for him to be considered a traitor. Why do you say that? Because he is indeed betraying the human race. Chapter 2164. Betraying the Human Race. The Master of the Galaxy? Yizichin didn't quite believe Bailey's words. Why would the Milky Way Master, one of the highest human beings, betray the human race? Rights? Desire? None of these existed. Furthermore, Yizichin's main goal in coming to the universe was to ensure the safety of his family and friends. He didn't want them to be enslaved and become slaves. But from the beginning to the end, the indoctrination of the Master of the Galaxy. The Master of the Galaxy was a victim. He had been framed, and that was why he had ended up like this. He was not a traitor at all. Don't slander the Master of the Galaxy. I didn't. Bailey shook his little head. Maybe I didn't express myself clearly just now. To some people, what he did is a betrayal of the human race. A certain someone. Yizichin squinted his eyes. Some guys with ulterior motives, for example, some of you humans who hold supreme authority. As soon as he finished speaking, Bailey laughed exaggeratedly to cover it up. Ha ha ha, I didn't say anything. Bailey's laughter echoed in Yizichin's ears. Supreme power? Someone from the Supremes Association? Looking at Bailey's expression, he seemed to know a lot of inside information. Perhaps because he used to be a member of the royal family, he knew many of the movements of the upper echelons of the human race. So what exactly did Bailey's words mean? Young man, since you have caught the eye of the Milky Way Master, I believe you are not a mediocre person. You should understand some things very clearly. When a race flourishes to a certain extent, it will start to rot internally. Bailey landed on Yizichin's shoulder. That is the current situation of you humans. It looks bright and beautiful on the outside, but the inside is rotten to the point of no return. At this time, if you want to overturn everything, what do you think we should do? Overthrow, said Yizichin. Smart. Bell nodded. You want to say that what the Master of the Galaxy did was to overthrow the status quo of the human race, but I didn't say anything. Bailey suddenly interrupted Yizichin's words. I'm just an optical computer right now. At most, I might know a bit more. What I want to do is to assist you and help you reach the top. As a member of a different race, will you wholeheartedly assist me? If you don't even have this basic trust in me, then there's no need for us to continue. Bailey spun around in front of Yizichin's head. I, Prince Bailey, am a man of my words. I will naturally assist you. I believe you. Yizichin silently smiled. Bailey's previous words moved Yizichin. If they didn't even have the most basic trust, then there was indeed no need to continue. Moreover, the fact that the Milky Way Master allowed him to stay was a sign of trust. What did the Master of the Galaxy promise you? Why do you ask? Bailey was suddenly surprised. He wiped out your clan, yet you still wholeheartedly assisted me. That means the two of you have reached some sort of agreement, said Yizichin. Bailey suddenly froze, then looked at Yizichin for a long while. You're smarter than I thought. Any random earthling would be able to understand such a simple logic. Yizichin actually saw shock in Bailey's eyes. She really didn't know how stupid she was in his heart. He did make a promise to me, but now isn't the time to tell you. You're only at the star level, so what if I tell you? Bailey shrugged. You should hurry up and increase your strength. Then, an image suddenly appeared in front of Yi Zichen's eyes. This is my cultivation plan for you to have an elemental spirit. You can take a look. Elemental Spirit Cultivation Plan. Fire Elemental Spirit. Grade F Elemental Energy Crystal. Yi. Although Yi Zichen had a bit of money, it was barely enough to buy a grade C, much less a grade D. Grade F? Yi Zichen looked back. 3 million kilograms of fire spirit marrow. 50 Scarlheart berries. What are you doing? This combination can allow an elemental spirit to advance in the shortest amount of time possible. It will take roughly 2 months for a spirit to reach adulthood, said Bailey. How much are these? Not much, just a few billion, Bailey said casually. F***ck off. Yi Zichen nearly cursed out in anger. Do I look like someone with that much money? Didn't the master of the Milky Way leave all of his life savings to you? Bailey frowned. It's just a bit over $1 billion. Is that a lot? He didn't leave it all to me. Bailey couldn't help but shrug when Yi Zichen explained the situation. This guy is truly meticulous. Alright, since I can't raise it rich, then tell me how much do you have now? 15 million. After saying that, Yi Zichen spoke up once again. Roughly another 1 million per day. Also, my fire elemental spirit is already in its adolescence. Adolescence? If that's the case. Bailey hesitated for a moment, then went to do some calculations. Not long later, another image appeared in front of Yi Zichen. Take a look at this. Of the 5 elemental spirits cultivation methods, I mainly focus on fire and lightning. Since the fire elemental is already in its adolescence, more resources are needed. The initial investment is around 13 million, and the subsequent investment is 800,000 per day. How's the efficiency? It will be slower to level up after adolescence. The other 4 elemental spirits will all enter adolescence, so it will take around 8 months. 8 months? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Just now, 2 months cost over $1 billion, and it's to cultivate a single elemental spirit. Would there be such a huge difference in 8 months? Of course, the faster the efficiency, the more resources are needed, Bailey said. There's another method, it will take around 16 months, and the resource consumption is 1/4. Then the one from before. No matter what one did in the universe, one needed to make use of every second. If Yi Zichen had enough funds, he would definitely choose the fastest method. But the current situation, he could only settle for the second best. Alright, I've already bought it. It will be delivered to your door in around half a month. Didn't you already decide to buy it? Yi Zichen didn't know what to say after being rebutted by Bailey. Discuss this sort of thing with me more next time. Don't forget, no matter what, I'm the master. Alright, I'll pay attention next time, Bailey nodded. Yi Zichen didn't know if he really remembered it, but he already spent the money, so there was nothing he could do about it. It was all for the elemental spirit. Oh yeah, I added a few friends on the virtual network for you just now, you can get to know them. What for? These are the spies that the Master of the Milky Way left for you. He said that he hopes they can be of some help to you. Chapter 2165. Hidden Lines. Left behind by the Master of the Galaxy? Are you sure it's okay to add them? Yi Zichen's expression was solemn. The Milky Way is already on the wanted list. There are tens of millions of people on it. Are you sure the people you contact won't be on the wanted list? If he contacted the wanted people now, then the people of the Tsangua Galaxy might notice. When that happens, forget about the other hidden lines, even the one he had buried the most would be dug out. Don't worry. Bailey's eyes were completely calm. The Master of the Galaxy has always been very meticulous. You can't even imagine the number of hidden lines he planted. How long ago? Before he was ready to act. What? The Milky Way, Yi Zichen and the others had already existed for billions of years. And that was after the Master of the Galaxy's Milky Way galaxy was destroyed. He infused the model with laws and life, allowing the Milky Way galaxy to be born anew. Back then, he had definitely started overthrowing the era, and had done a lot of it. He had forced those who were afraid of him to act against him. How long would that take? Billions of years again. I had the same expression as you. Bailey smiled at Yi Zichen's astonished expression. That guy is way too meticulous. So meticulous that I feel like he's more like a machine. We machines are the best at calculations, but he's even more calculative than I am. Bailey's eyes were filled with shock. He told me the entire night that he was actually planning for the worst and preparing for the worst. His hidden line was laid until 15 years ago. 10 years ago, he deposited me in the Union Bank and waited for you to appear. The Master of the Galaxy. As expected of the Master of the Galaxy. 10 years ago, he should have been hunted down by the Tsangyue Galaxy. But he still had time to continue building his path? He even went to the Universe Union Bank and deposited Bailey? Just who is he? At least, Yi Zichen didn't think he could do that right now. There's a reply. Suddenly, Bailey spoke up. Yi Zichen connected his consciousness to the virtual network. When he saw the reply, he was instantly stunned. A full 2 hours passed. During that time, Yi Zichen kept in contact with the Master of the Galaxy's spies. The more he interacted, the more shocked he became. He truly doubted that the Master of the Galaxy would lose to those lowly people of the Tsangyue Galaxy. If he wanted to with the power of these people, even if they didn't overturn the entire universe, at least the Milky Way galaxy wouldn't be considered a traitor. It was impossible for Tsangyue's star to succeed. Why did he lose? Was it on purpose? At that moment, Yi Zichen had no way of figuring out what the Master of the Galaxy was thinking. His heart was now completely shrouded in horror. In a short period of time, he might not be able to digest it. According to Bailey, there were still many people who did not pass the application, and there were also many people who he did not apply for. How is it? Bailey grinned. I'm shocked. Digest it slowly. Bailey laughed. This senior's strength is beyond your imagination. To be able to become an absolute expert, it's not without reason that he's hated by the outer races of the universe. Speaking of which, I have another question. Go ahead, Bailey said. Since you are also an outsider, why do I feel that you don't particularly hate the Master of the Galaxy? I hate him, Bailey shouted again, but I also know how to tell right from wrong. From his point of view, what he did was not wrong. Anyway, you don't have to worry about this. Alright. Yi Zichen contacted everyone he needed to get to know. Then he looked at the Milky Way Galaxy chat group. It had been a few days, everyone in the group was frantic. The one who was tagged the most was Yi Zichen himself, followed by Meng Luo and the others who were already on good terms with Yi Zichen. Rouge Gofen, Empress, on the 4th day the great god was away. I missed him. I missed him so much that I aged. I missed him so much that I couldn't eat or sleep at night. Gu Lu, B Valley, Jingling, Ling Corporation, so disgusting. Jingling, Ling Corporation, that's enough. Don't disgust people in the group, okay? Rouge, Empress, leave the group. Jingling, Ling Corporation, leaving the group was definitely impossible. 3 days was actually a very short period of time for the experts of the universe. Yi Zichen hadn't gone online in the past few days. It was very likely that something had happened in reality. It wasn't like he would stay offline forever. Future, hello. Rouge, Empress, wow. Steel Kiki. Steel Family, great god, I've been waiting for you. Blue Shield 0713, Blue Shield Family, hello. Returning Windblade. Mountain and Country, great god. Did these guys click follow? Instant reply. It instantly exploded. Future. I have some things to take care of in the next few days. I might log into the game later, then I'll contact you guys. Rouge, Empress, no problem. Jingling, Ling Corporation, understood. Gulu, B Valley, okay. Everyone replied. Yi Zichen's appearance was like a sedative to them. Otherwise, practically everyone in the virtual network sent a bunch of messages. Rouge and Rouge posted the most. Several thousand. I don't know what she wants, and I don't dare to ask. I'll just explain the situation in the group. That way, I won't have to reply to them one by one. Future, what's going on in the game? Rouge, Empress, great God, don't worry. Actually, the game went offline for a day while you were gone. Jingling, Ling Corporation, that's right. Future, stopped? Returning Windblade, Mountain and Country, the Milky Way no longer exists. Our novice village has been renamed to the Milky Way system. So that's how it is. It seems like Planet Songyue is most likely pressuring us. Let the Virtual World Corporation change the name of the Milky Way system. He had thought about this a long time ago. How could a galaxy abandoned by the human race, a galaxy that betrayed the human race, continue to exist in the virtual game? From this, it could be seen that the Songyue system had a lot of power. It was actually able to make the Virtual World Corporation lower its head. Future, anything else? Tianhai, God's domain character names in the game can be hidden. If the character name is hidden, then no one will know who it is. It will be just like reality, no one will know anyone. Mengluo, great God. Future, hello Lil Mengluo. Returning Windblade, Mountain and Country, this game is getting closer and closer to reality. The unknown is like being in the universe. In the past, you could still identify who you were through your character name, but now, even if it's you, great God, no one will recognize you. Future, this is great. Yi Zichen left the group with a smile. He was truly eager to enter the game to take a look. He entered the game. The game needs to be updated. Yi Zichen didn't mind it too much. He unzipped the update online, then waited for it to finish so he could go online and see what exactly was updated. He still had to go to the Land of Element. There was something he had to get there. At that moment, Hortark. He also sent Yi Zichen a message. Tenod. He was a friend Yi Zichen got to know in class, but he didn't really interact much in private. Yi Zichen clicked on the message. Yi Zichen instantly clenched his fist. Chapter 2166. Tianlu Gaming City. Yi Zichen arrived in the shortest amount of time possible, and didn't alert anyone in the manner. When he came here, Jotark was already anxiously waiting outside, his fists clenched tightly as he paced outside. Hortark. When Hortark saw Yi Zichen, he also hurried over. Yi. What are you and Bar doing? I sent you so many messages. Yi Zichen's virtual reality helmet was burnt. The AI had just connected. Ball was probably immersed in the game and didn't notice the news from Jotark. Otherwise, he would definitely contact Yi Zichen after seeing Hortark's news. The content of Jotark's message was simple. Beiyu had been captured. The entire school knew that Beiyu was Yi Zichen's person. The reason she was able to become a core student was all because of Yi Zichen. This was also after Beiyu was captured by Hortark. Why did he contact Yi Zichen? Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. Why was Beiyu captured? Yi Zichen frowned. Didn't you guys come to cultivate? Why did you come to a place like this? Not sure. Hortark shook his head and frowned. The school arranged for us to come here to relax. It was fine at first, but then a few people suddenly came and took Beiyu away without any explanation. The school didn't do anything. The person in charge took care of it, but he gave up soon after. Who are they? I don't know. As they spoke, Yi Zichen had already entered the game center. Several people in charge of the study trip and the participating students were all standing in the hall. Yi Zichen? The person in charge frowned. Yi Zichen walked forward. Where is Beiyu? What's with your attitude? You skipped classes multiple times, and didn't even come for your study trip. Do you still want to study here or not? The person in charge scolded Yi Zichen. I'm asking you where Beiyuran is. Yi Zichen's eyes blazed with fire. He glared at the person in charge. The person in charge was clearly a 7th stage star cultivator. yet he was somewhat afraid of Yi Zichen. You're a star state. The surrounding students all looked towards Yi Zichen. Most of the members in the school, whether they were the core members or other students, were at or below the domain stage. There were very few star-level warriors. Reaching the star rank meant officially stepping into the universe. At this level, one wouldn't be able to learn much in Blue River Academy. It was like ascending from junior to junior. If he wanted to continue his studies, he would need to go to a higher-level institution. I'm asking you, where is Beiyuran? Yi Zichen's hands instantly burst into flames. This scene caused everyone in the hall to be stunned. Star rank. Comprehending the elemental power. Fire element control. This, when the person in charge of the study trip saw the flames in Yi Zichen's hands, he revealed an expression of fear. Are you Mr. Yi? At this moment, a capable woman walked into the hall. Who are you? Our general wants to see you. The woman smiled warmly. Your friend is also in our hands. General. He looked at the woman's chest. Mercenary Alliance. Yi Zichen had been in the universe for a while now, so he was familiar with the symbols of the major powers. A bad feeling enveloped Yi Zichen's heart. He let out a deep breath. All right. Approximately a few minutes later, Yi Zichen arrived at the surveillance room. During this time, he kept an eye on the woman in front of him. Star system level. From the aura he faintly released, this woman was at least a star system level expert. What's more, star system level wasn't low, she was probably only a step away from the universe. What made Yi Zichen more worried was, that was their goal, and their goal of capturing Beiyuran. The one-eyed man was facing the door. The moment he entered, a strong pressure pressed down on Yi Zichen. Is this how the Mercenary Alliance treats its guests? Pfft. Within the surveillance room, a man beside the one-eyed man suddenly laughed. Brat, what kind of guest are you? A mere star level, and you think you're some big shot? General, the woman saluted. The one-eyed man nodded, then looked towards Yi Zichen. He didn't say anything, but his gaze moved back and forth on Yi Zichen. You're Yi Zichen. That's right. I won't waste my breath on you. The one-eyed man chucked a pile of documents onto the table. The one-eyed man threw a pile of documents on the table. What's your relationship with Naga Westhea? Where did she go? As expected, they found out. Even so, Yi Zichen remained calm. I don't know the person you're talking about. It's not good to lie in front of me. The one-eyed man's gaze darkened. Speak clearly and you might be fine. I don't know her. Then why was that girl's memory erased? You searched her memory. Yi Zichen's eyes were instantly filled with rage. What right do you have? Just because we're stronger. The man beside the one-eyed man waved his fist. You're just a little guy who hasn't even reached the domain level. We can do whatever we want. Who are you to care? I advise you to be more obedient, otherwise you'll end up like her. She better be fine. All of a sudden, Yi Zichen's expression darkened. Hey brat, do you know who you're threatening? Can you, a star level, kill us? Do you know who we are? We are the Mercenary Alliance. Yi Zichen interrupted. Since you know, you still dare to talk nonsense. The Mercenary Alliance can do whatever they want? What right do you have to pry into other people's memories? Just because we're stronger. I already said it. The man smiled in disdain. Be more obedient and let lousies see what's in your head. Are you worthy? Boom, a huge explosion suddenly sounded out in the game center. The walls of the control room even showed signs of collapsing. What's going on? The man in the control room shouted. From the monitor, he saw that two men had appeared outside without him noticing. They stood arrogantly in the air, their hands burning with flames and lightning. Fire controller. Lightning controller. F***CK, they're coming over here. Boom. The control room instantly collapsed. Before the control room turned into ruins, the one-eyed man and his subordinates used their energy to create a barrier to prevent it from collapsing. the students of Blue River campus in the hall. They were all protected by the person in charge. Until the dust settled. Yizichin stood in front of everyone unscathed, while an energy barrier formed from lightning gathered around him. F***ck, so gutsy you actually dared. Dong, before the man could finish, his chest was heavily injured, causing him to fall onto the ground like a broken kite. Only then did the lightning controller reveal a look of disdain. Trash. Chapter 2167. One punch. No one knew if he was dead or alive. The general of the Mercenary Alliance frowned, and felt that the man in front of him was rather familiar. The other soldiers did not dare to make any rash moves. The people who were sent flying had already seen the outcome. The man only used one punch without using any elemental power. Young master. Suddenly, the lightning master bowed towards Yizichin. Young master. Everyone in Blue River School was completely shocked. The female member of the Mercenary Alliance also revealed a shocked expression. From the information they had gathered, Yizichin didn't seem to have a very strong background. Young master, we found her. At the same time, the fire master also walked over from afar with the unconscious Beiyu in his arms. Young master! How is she? Yizichin looked at Beiyu. She just fainted. She'll wake up after resting for a while. Hearing that, Yizichin stopped worrying. Let's go. Yizichin only came here to get Beiyu back. He didn't want to waste his breath on anything else. Stop. What? Yizichin looked at the woman who stopped them. Do you still want to fight? You injured one of our people. So what? Yizichin tilted his head. He taught me that having a bigger fist is power. Now that my fist is bigger than yours, then my words are the truth. I'm not interested in you, so don't mess with me. Also, I'll investigate Beiyu bit by bit. Whoever did anything to her won't be able to escape. Many of the female students from Blue River School had stars in their eyes. That's a man. Domineering. Even though they were from the Mercenary Alliance, they didn't show any fear. The female soldier looked towards the one-eyed general. The one-eyed general did not say anything from start to finish. He simply allowed Yizichin and company to leave the game city. Until everyone from Blue River School left. Only then did the one-eyed general let out a sigh. Take him to be treated. Actually, the general knew very well that if nothing unexpected happened, it would be hard for this guy to recover. Even if he did, he would be far weaker than before. He wouldn't be able to progress any further. Dual lightning of heaven and earth. The sky was yang and the earth was yin. Although it seemed like the lightning master just punched, he had already sent the yin lightning into his body. The yin thunder would corrode his body. In order to extract this kind of yin lightning, one would need a yin lightning controller to extract the yin lightning from his body. It would be fine if there was such an elder in the family. No. As such, he would have to spend a large amount of money to hire a high-level yin lightning controller. The benefits of the Mercenary Alliance were pretty good. He couldn't afford to pay that kind of money. Furthermore, the level of the controller just now was not low. General, why did you let him go? Do you remember what you asked me before? The one-eyed general exhaled deeply. I can answer you now. What? I don't believe that the Milky Way Master would betray humanity. With that, the one-eyed general turned around and left. Go back. I will ask the higher-ups to withdraw from this mission. Back at the manor. Looking at the unconscious Beiyu, Beiyin's eyes were filled with panic. Don't worry, she's just tired. She'll be fine after some rest. Beiyin knew very well that things wouldn't be so simple. But since Yizichin had already said so, she couldn't ask any further. He stayed in Beiyin's room and took good care of her. Yizichin stayed in the living room and looked at the two controllers. Thank you. Before you reach the universe level, this is the only time you have the right to deploy us, said the lightning controller. I know. Then we'll be leaving. Please hurry up and reach the universe level. Only then will you be able to truly control the resources his lordship left behind. With that, the two controllers left. Yi Zichen sat silently on the sofa and looked at the pure blue sky outside. Strength. Even though he was acknowledged as the successor of the Milky Way Master, these unruly guys still didn't treat him well. Even though they called him Young Master, there wasn't much respect in their expressions. The two of them were spies left behind by the Milky Way Master. Two commander-level almighties. Half-step titled. Before Yi Zichen reached the universe level, he had the right to deploy them once. When he found out that Yu had been captured, he immediately thought that it might be because of the bounty, so he hurriedly invited them over. And it did go smoothly. The Mercenary Alliance didn't dare to stop them, but they had wasted the right to deploy them just like that. In the future, no matter what trouble Yi Zichen ran into, he couldn't look for them. Universe level. Yi Zichen muttered to himself. Once he reached the universe level, he would be acknowledged by them and become a true young master. Why do I have to be acknowledged by you? Yi Zichen suddenly smiled in disdain. They were afraid of the Milky Way Master. Even if they truly became young masters, they would only do so out of respect for the Milky Way Master. Since that's the case, why don't I nurture my own forces? With the convenience of the second world, Yi Zichen felt like he had a chance. Who are you looking down on? Yi Zichen couldn't help but clench his fist when he thought of the lightning controller's gaze. Yi Zichen looked towards Ball. That guy was still immersed in the game and didn't know what was going on outside. Bailey, do you feel unhappy? Bailey sat on Yi Zichen's shoulder. Don't mind it. That's how the universe is. Strength is everything. You're only at the star level. It doesn't make sense for two commanders to willingly risk their lives for you. They're not a family, and you're not the son of the Milky Way Master. They're both leaders in their own fields. Haha, I understand, Yi Zichen smiled. Don't worry, Bailey, believe that you can stand at the peak of this world. Bailey patted his chest. You have a great advantage with 5 elemental fairies. Wasn't that given to me by the Milky Way Master? It seems so, Bailey was stunned. But the elemental fairies belong to you now. Oh yeah, I'm a bit curious. How did you nurture an elemental fairy into a teenager? I really wanted to tell you about that. Yi Zichen suddenly spoke up with a solemn look in his eyes. Yi Zichen suddenly spoke up with a solemn look in his eyes. You weren't lying when you said that you know all the elemental grounds in the universe, right? Of course not. Bailey patted his chest. We, the machine race, have very detailed information on you humans. It's all in my head. Alright, take me there. What? Bailey was confused. Are you kidding me? How are you supposed to go to the elemental grounds? You'll die before you even enter. Just wait, I'll take you there after your title. I'm not talking about reality. It's a game. Chapter 2168. Galaxy Novice Village. When Yi Zichen logged back into the game, he noticed that the game had indeed changed a lot. His character names were all hidden. Standing in the middle of Beginner Village, there were only a few people strolling around with their characters. The Milky Way Galaxy was officially renamed the Milky Way Galaxy. This is a virtual reality game? Bailey sat on Yi Zichen's shoulder and looked around in curiosity and surprise. When he was captured by the Master of the Galaxy, he had nothing else to do, so he played a lot of virtual games. It was just that those virtual reality games seemed a little different from this one. This is the Milky Way? Not long after, Bailey couldn't help but exclaim. How did you know? Really? Bailey was also stunned for a long time. I just felt that it was a little familiar. This seems to be a planet with life in the Milky Way Galaxy, so I subconsciously mentioned it. That's right. Yi Zichen confirmed his answer. This is indeed the Milky Way. This game is completely based on the real universe. The Milky Way has now been officially renamed the Milky Way System. F*CK. Bailey was completely stunned when he heard Yi Zichen's explanation. I really admire you humans. The second world had a huge impact on Bailey. He clamored to check out the game's details and entered the virtual network to browse the game's official website. Yi Zichen felt a bit strange since he hadn't logged into the game for a long time. He received a large number of private messages from his friends. Most of them were asking why he hadn't logged into the game for so long. The number of unfamiliar private messages had decreased significantly. Perhaps it was because Yi Zichen hadn't logged on for several days, his level had stagnated, and he hadn't done anything shocking, causing the other players to forget about his existence. Actually, that shouldn't be the case. No matter what, Yi Zichen was still number 1 on the level leaderboard. He headed straight for the equipment shop. When Yi Zichen arrived, there was an endless stream of players in the shop. Within 4 days, level 50 to level 60 equipment had become mainstream. This was the only equipment shop in the entire novice village. Although the auction house also sold equipment, most players still came here. If there was a lot of it, the lady behind the counter would look good. At that moment, Yi Zichen noticed a player with a strange expression. He had already looked through more than 10 pieces of equipment at the counter. The staff in the shop looked a little impatient. This guy didn't seem to have any intention of buying. He kept pointing at the equipment in the shop, asking to see this and that. The number of shop assistants was small. If they kept serving him, they wouldn't be able to serve other players. The players who were waiting at the back kept urging them. Show me that. The young man with the protruding mouth pointed at a long sword. Are you buying it or not? The staff wasn't in a hurry, but the players behind were getting impatient. If you're not going to buy it, then get out of the way. We still have a lot of people waiting here. Why do you care? The young man with the protruding mouth frowned and raised the long blade in his hand. I also queued for a long time before I got here. Can't I just pick a few pieces of equipment? Do you know what I want to buy? It's a dark gold equip. Why the hell are you calling me a blue equip? At the mention of dark gold, the players in the shop all shut their mouth. They all knew how expensive dark gold equipment was. Anyone who could buy dark gold equipment in the game wasn't an ordinary player, so they didn't dare disturb him. Sir, please watch your language. Anyone who comes to our shop to buy equipment is a customer, no matter how rich or poor they are. You can continue to choose the equipment you like, but if you still want to say what you said before, then please leave, said the staff who served the protruding mouth man. Yeah, what are you pretending for? Are you buying it or not? If you're not, then F***ck off. What are you yelling at, buying some crappy dark gold equipment? Many players in the shop shouted angrily. TSK, I'm not leaving. What can you do? The protruding mouth man acted like he was going to take over the counter, causing the other players to clench their teeth in anger. Ignore him. This guy can't even afford to buy equipment, so he's just trying to buy it. We're still waiting here, the customers urged the staff. The staff pursed his lips, then clenched his teeth. Take your time, please call me if you need anything. With that, the staff went to serve other customers. At that moment, the protruding mouth man revealed a smile, as if he had gotten what he wanted. Yi Zichen stood in the corner and stared at him. He wanted to see just what exactly he was planning. Shortly after, he slowly grabbed a ring and hid it in his pocket. Then, he pushed the equipment on the counter forward. Forget it, I'll go take a look at the auction house. The shop was already very busy, so the staff didn't pay too much attention to it. They just placed the equipment back on the counter. Stealing equipment? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and grinned at the protruding man. He was really bold. How dare you steal equipment from me? Yi Zichen patted the protruding man's shoulder just as the protruding man was about to run out of the shop. Who is it? The man with the protruding mouth, who already had a guilty conscience, was almost scared out of his wits. Seeing that it wasn't a shop assistant, he felt relieved. He let out a long sigh and said arrogantly, "Who are you? It's very easy to earn, right? Yi Zichen smiled. The man with the protruding mouth felt a little guilty. He had done it very discreetly just now. He had also looked around to make sure that no one had seen him before putting the equipment into his pocket. What are you talking about? I don't understand. How many times has it been? Yi Zichen grinned and gripped the man's shoulder tightly. The protruding man kept wanting to leave the shop. He couldn't go offline in the shop. This was a form of protection for the game and the game shop. He could go offline at any time after he left the shop. It would be very hard to find him then. How could Yi Zichen allow him to do as he wished? Yi Zichen pressed him down tightly. Yi Zichen's level was high. He had good equipment. His strength was much higher than other players. If you don't make yourself clear, then you can't leave. Don't mind your own business. Do you know who Lousy is? The protruding man shouted angrily. I'm telling you, you can't mess with Lousy. Just act like you didn't see anything. Here's 20,000 star coins as your hush money. The protruding man took out a pouch of 20,000 star coins. Yi Zichen smiled and caught the coins. Why wouldn't I accept free money? Hurry up and let go. 20,000, you're very generous. It seems like the ring you secretly hid isn't of a low grade. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and reached out his hand. Give me back my equipment. Don't be so shameless, the protruding man said anxiously, causing his voice to become much louder. Many customers in the shop looked towards them, causing the smile on Yi Zichen's face to disappear. He grabbed the young man's arm and kicked him onto the ground. You actually dared to steal Lousy's equipment. How dare you? Chapter 2169. Bang! The protruding man who tried to steal the equipment was kicked onto the ground. Since this was Yi Zichen's personal shop, small physical contact wouldn't result in a red name. The protruding man sat on the ground, while Yi Zichen grabbed his clothes. Hand over the equipment. Many customers in the shop discussed amongst themselves. None of them understood why someone dared to make a move in the shop. This is the shop of a future god. Causing trouble here, wasn't that the same as courting death? From their conversation, it seems like it's about equipment. The protruding man was rather annoying, so no one was willing to speak up for him. On the other hand, Yi Zichen, friend, stop messing around here. This is the shop of the future. Sire. At that moment, the shop manager, Chicano, hurried over. Winnie and the other employees placed the equipment on the counter and ran over. See, sire. The customers in the shop were shocked. The person in front of them is the future? Future god? Someone asked in a testing manner. Yi Zichen turned around and placed his finger on his lip. Sorry, I've affected everyone's mood to buy equipment. How about this, I'll give everyone a 5% discount today. I hope everyone can support the shop's business. A 5% discount didn't seem like much, but it depended on the equipment. If it was a dark gold equipment, then it would be several 100,000 universe credit. A 5% discount was already very impressive. Future God is so generous. Future God, there's actually no need. Future God, I like you. Can you go out with me? I'm really pretty. Why does that sound like rouge? Yi Zichen couldn't help but be stunned when he looked towards the girl who called out to him. Wow, the god actually recognized me. I'm so happy. Rouge walked over with a smile and shyness in her eyes. Rouge walked over with a smile, her eyes filled with shyness. I hid my name and even wore a veil, but the Almighty could recognize me. Do you like me? Out of all the people Yi Zichen knew, only Rouge kept saying that she was pretty. The other customers all looked at this scene with curious expressions. Stop messing around. Yi Zichen didn't dare to continue. If he allowed Rouge to continue blabbering nonsense in front of the customers, then he would definitely be in the Milky Way system's gossip headlines the next day. All right, I'll wait for you at home. Rouge and Face Powder ran out shyly. The customers in the store all stared at her, their mouths forming an O shape. This girl amazing. There was no way for Yi Zichen to explain, and there was no need for him to explain to these customers. He looked at the man with the protruding mouth. When he found out that the one who had caught him was the future, the fear in the protruding mouth man's eyes was at its peak. "Hand it over." He hurriedly took out the ring from his pocket. When the customers in the shop saw the ring, they couldn't help but curse. I knew this grandson wasn't pretending to be kind. Stealing equipment? Tui. Ever since the game had hidden character names, some rats in the gutter started to do shady things in broad daylight. Disgusting, stealing equipment. Why did he hide his character's name? Why did he reveal it? Let's hunt him down and throw rotten eggs at his door. Disgusting thief. He glanced at the ring, level 65 dark gold ring. This guy really dared to steal, and he stole the most expensive one. Accessories had a lower drop rate than other equipment, and a level 65 dark gold ring was at least 2 to 3 times more expensive than a level 65 dark gold weapon. Just a single ring like this was worth at least 1,000,000 universe credit. You're pretty daring. You stole the expensive one, 1,000,000. Yi Zichen squatted in front of him. Future God, this is my first time as well. I really won't dare to do it again. Please spare me this time. Really, future God, I won't dare to do it again. Please let me go. The protruding mouth man kowtowed and bowed on the ground. Yi Zichen couldn't help but be a bit confused. Was there a need for that? Since he hid his character name, nobody knew who he was. Getting beaten up was his limit. What else could Yi Zichen do to him? Hunt him down? I can revive infinitely in the game. What's there to be afraid of? Future God, I was truly wrong. Don't kill me. Just lock me up in jail. I'll go and repent. The protruding mouth man continuously kowtowed. Yi Zichen was a bit confused. He subconsciously scratched his head and looked towards Winnie. Send him to jail. Yes, my lord. Winnie grabbed the protruding mouth man and left. As he left, the protruding mouth man continuously kowtowed in gratitude. Yi Zichen was truly shocked by him. Chicano, come with me. When Yi Zichen arrived at the back of the shop, the front business continued. How are the profits from the past few days? My lord, please take a look. Chicano took out a ledger, which clearly recorded the sales and purchases of every single piece of equipment. Actually, Yi Zichen was able to find out by checking the details of the shop. There were no problems at all. From this, it could be seen that Chicano was indeed a trustworthy shop manager. He didn't take bribes or corruption. He only cared about the shop's development. Due to the increase of the players' levels, the equipment had been sold especially quickly, causing the inventory in the warehouse to be insufficient. Everything has been done according to my lord's orders. Otherworld currency is required to purchase equipment of gold level and above. All of the transactions have been stored in the shop. You can withdraw them at any time. All of the blue and white equipment were purchased with regular currency and stored in the shop. You can withdraw them at any time. The details of the shop, Yi Zichen couldn't help but gulp. 49.75 million universe credit. That's nearly over 50 million. Yi Zichen understood when he thought about it. High-grade gold and dark gold equipment, no matter how cheap, would still cost at least 40,000 universe credit. Thousands of gold and dark gold equipment, it was very normal for them to be sold at such a price. There were also quite a few top-quality items that were even more expensive. Yi Zichen withdrew the funds, and another 50 million was deposited into the account. The funds for the elemental fairies' cultivation were also guaranteed. Game currency: 47.62 million galaxy credit. The income of the game shop was truly ridiculous. In the 4 days, there were at least 12 million universe credits and 12 million galaxy credits deposited into the account every single day. Yi Zichen flipped through the details of the shop. There were 100,000 pieces of equipment sold in the past 4 days. There were around 10,000 pieces of equipment from the Land of the Elements, and 10,000 from the Path of the Brave. That was only 20,000. Why is there so much equipment? The amount of equipment was already far beyond what Yi Zichen could provide. During this period of time, we have been purchasing equipment and selling it to earn the difference in price, Chikano replied. During this period of time, we've also formed a partnership with the smithy. The equipment they make will also be placed in our shop for sale. All we need to do is to provide them with the price. The rest will be our shop's net profit. Chapter 2170. A partnership, the smithy. As the only place that sold equipment apart from bosses, monsters and quests in the novice village. It was actually a partnership with his own shop. Yi Zichen couldn't help but look at Chikano with a satisfied and impressed gaze. As expected of a mythical NPC. It seems like the abilities he possessed were far beyond what Yi Zichen saw. So that means the smithy is no longer selling equipment? Yes, Chikano nodded seriously. The smithy only provides equipment forging services. The other equipment produced will be provided to our shop for sale. What conditions did you agree on? The NPCs of the second world were all smart people. Although they were called NPCs, they were more or less like living people. Equipment was an extremely profitable industry. The smithy would not cooperate with Chikano for no reason. Yi Zichen believed in his abilities, but it was impossible for him to get something for nothing. To be able to negotiate this sort of cooperation, Chikano definitely promised some benefits to the smithy. I won't hide it from my lord, this subordinate did promise some benefits to the smithy, Chikano nodded. Speak. You said that our shop's equipment recycling business is very good. Thus, I promise that the white equipment we recycle can be sold to the smithy at a 20% discount, Chikano replied. 20%. To be honest, Yi Zichen felt like it was a bit much. However, it was still an acceptable price in comparison to being able to cooperate with the smithy. What's more, they were all white equipment, acceptable. But even so, the smithy doesn't need to directly give all the equipment to us to sell, right? Yi Zichen frowned. This is all thanks to you, Chikano said. Me? Yi Zichen was stunned. He didn't think that he had contributed much to the shop, nor did he have any contact with the smithy's NPCs. You provided the shop with sufficient equipment, causing the smithy to feel threatened. For example, the several thousand pieces of gold and dark gold equipment you provided already caused the smithy to be left in the dust. The lack of equipment in our shop has also affected the smithy's business. If he wants to continue, then he must make changes. Chikano's expression was very respectful. Yi Zichen nodded. He didn't think that the equipment he obtained would have such an effect when sold in the shop. A few days ago, I went to the smithy to persuade them, and the smithy agreed, Chikano said with a smile. You did very well. The equipment that Yi Zichen produced might be a huge shock to the smithy. However, Chikano's keen sense of smell could not be ignored. Yi Zichen would never be stingy with his praises towards his capable subordinate. What other suggestions do you have for the future of our shop? I suggest that we hire more employees and expand the store. Chikano's expression was very serious. You've seen what happened before. The equipment was stolen by someone with ulterior motives. We can't rule out the carelessness of the staff, but in the end, it's still because we don't have enough manpower. Is there a lot of that? Yi Zichen frowned. Almost every few days. Chikano said. He was discovered by the shop assistants a few times before, and you've seen it for yourself this time. There were simply too many people who came to purchase the equipment, so he almost succeeded. It was not the Chikanos who were shirking their responsibilities. Yi Zichen could see it very clearly. The shop's business was too good. The entire novice village had tens of millions of players. There was only one equipment shop, so one could imagine how popular its business was. Just as he arrived, the shop was filled with customers who came to purchase equipment, while an endless stream of customers came in. When they saw the number of customers in the shop, they could only shake their heads and leave after a long wait. The staff of the shop needed to be replenished. The shop also needed to be expanded. Otherwise, the size of the shop would limit the business. Alright. With that, Yi Zichen clicked on the shop's details. Level up. This time, Yi Zichen really went all out. He spent a total of 10 million star coins. Even the top 10 factions might not be able to gather such an astronomical amount of in-game currency. The shop leveled up to level 8. All of a sudden, the entire shop underwent a huge change. The size of the shop increased by more than 5 times, while the building also became a 4-story building. The players who were purchasing equipment in the shop couldn't help but be shocked. At the same time, Yi Zichen clicked on employee recruitment. He recruited a total of 50 employees. Among them, 15 were good, 30 were excellent, and 4 were perfect. There was also one excellent level. Words. Excellent level. Innate skill. Insight. Has a certain chance of increasing an item's level. F***ck. Yi Zichen was completely shocked when he saw this innate skill. Level increase. In other words, white equipment to blue equipment to gold equipment. This skill, a godly skill. Yi Zichen was willing to place this innate skill at the legend level. Words. My lord. Yen was a mature woman who looked to be around 30 years old. Is there a limit to your innate skill, insight? It depends on the situation of the item. I can use it 1 to 3 times, and it has a certain chance of destroying the item. It uses up a lot of energy, Yen answered honestly. With my current abilities, I can use it 5 times a day. Hearing that, Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. 5 times a day. There was also a certain chance of destroying the item. It was fortunate that there was such a limit. Otherwise, even Yi Zichen would have to report it to the virtual company. Such an invincible talent. F***ck. Wouldn't whoever got it be invincible? From now on, you will be the vice store manager. Yi Zichen gave Yen a heavy responsibility. You have to properly assist Chicano, understood? Understood, Yen nodded. Chicano, I'll leave these shop assistants to you. Yi Zichen pointed at the newly recruited shop assistants. Also, don't waste Yan's innate skill. Pick 5 items with the most insight value every day. It doesn't matter even if they are destroyed, there's no need to feel any psychological burden. So what if they are destroyed? Being able to succeed once would multiply the value of the item. As long as the success rate could be controlled to be more than double, then it would be a guaranteed profit. Understood, Chicano nodded. Yi Zichen looked towards the shop. He believed that the shop would be able to provide even more profit after it was upgraded. This was an important way to provide Yi Zichen with funds. As long as he managed it well, there would be an endless stream of funds in the future. Oh yeah, Chicano, try to talk to the other shops and see if you can get them to sell their items here as well, especially the pharmacy. This subordinate will try his best, Chicano replied. Alright, go do what you need to do. Yi Zichen waved towards the surrounding shop assistants. Also, help me collect some unappraised rune stones and rune stone fragments. Chapter 2171. Yi Zichen mentioned the rune stone shards. I wonder what that thieving rune stone appraiser is doing. If he didn't want to be beaten to death, then he probably wouldn't return to that sort of place. Of course, Yi Zichen wasn't sure. Gambling was addictive, and gamblers didn't learn their lesson when it came to this sort of thing. He took several tens of millions from Yi Zichen. If he didn't spend it, then what was the point of keeping it? Where would he spend it? It was most likely the underground casino in the novice village. Yi Zichen wouldn't care about Atana's private matters. He could just say a few words about it. Yi Zichen didn't have the right to stop it since he wasn't related to Atana. As long as Atana could appraise the rune stone for him. As for the rest, he could do whatever he wanted. Yi Zichen clicked open his friend list after not contacting him for a long time. It was quite amazing. He was clearly an NPC, but he could be added as a friend. Yi Zichen sent a message in the chat. Atana's reply was almost instantaneous. I really want to find you. Are you in the village? Can we talk when we meet? Something isn't right. Yi Zichen could feel the urgency in his words even though they were separated by the chat. You can't be out of money again, right? Atana's reply stopped for half a minute. Let's talk when we meet. Yi Zichen guessed that he probably ran out of money again. He sighed silently, then sent the address of the equipment shop to him. 10-odd minutes later. Sire, there's someone called Atana outside who wants to see you. Chikano walked in. Yi Zichen nodded. Tell him to come in. Not long later, Atana ran in hurriedly. His long hair was messy, while he looked around the shop with a pair of sharp eyes. This is your shop? Say it, what did you find me for? Yi Zichen indicated him to sit down. Atana twitched his mouth. Didn't you find me? Atana rubbed his hands as he looked at Yi Zichen's expression. Did you go there again? My hands were itchy. I looked at the sky yesterday and felt like I could earn a lot. In the end, you lost it all. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth. No, Atana swore. I still have several 100,000. F***ck. When Yi Zichen had asked him to appraise the rune stone fragments, he'd paid him several tens of millions of star coins. This guy, don't tell me you're back to borrow money from me? How could that be? Ada chuckled. I was wondering if you need an identification rune stone, so I'll give you a 10% discount. No. Yi Zichen had wanted to get him to appraise the rune stones. Knowing that he had gone to the casino again and lost all his money, he didn't want to appraise it anymore, otherwise, Ada would have to go and lose everything again. Don't. Ada frowned. Why are you like this? Why are you angry? How about this? I see that your shop is not small, so why don't you give me a place and let me stay here to do business? Identification rune stone. Yeah. Don't even think about it. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth. I'm the only one who opened a rune stone right now. The others still don't know what a rune stone is for. Don't even think about doing appraisals for other people to earn money. Are you serious? Atana was shocked. What do you think? After confirming that Yi Zichen was telling the truth, Ada sat down on the floor and started to make a scene. Then how am I supposed to live? I don't want to live anymore. Just let me die. I don't want to live anymore. Yi Zichen silently watched him make a scene, then called Chikano in. Take this friend out. Yes, sire. As his words subsided, Chikano went to Arthana's side. The moment he made a scene, Ada felt like a force was suppressing him. Please, F***ck, you're too much, Ada shouted. You actually didn't help me. I'm telling you, there aren't many people in the entire universe that know how to appraise runes. Do you believe that I won't appraise for you anymore? Ask him to leave. Yi Zichen waved his hand, causing Chikano to grab his collar like he was grabbing a chick. Fine, I give up. Ada twitched his mouth. I'll sell you some information. What information? I know a pill refiner. He can refine high-quality pills and medicine. 20 million. I'll give you his information. Ada clenched his teeth. Pill refiner. That was the market that Yi Zichen wanted to open up. Are you sure? Absolutely. 5 million. Invite him to me, then I'll give you another 10 million. Yi Zichen looked into Ada's eyes. I can't trust a gambler's words completely, but I can't not trust him. Isn't that a bit low? Then never mind. Yi Zichen didn't want to waste any more time with him, and merely nodded towards Chikano. Fine. Deal. Ada clenched his teeth. Chikano also put him down under Yi Zichen's signal. TSK, you still dare to capture me? Do you know who I am? Yi Zichen glared at Chikano, then glared at him in annoyance. Stop being so cocky. AI. Ada was so obedient that he stretched out his hand. Yi Zichen took out 5 million star coins and placed it in Ada's hand. Ada smiled brightly the moment he got the money. Remember what you said to me just now. If you dare to scare me, then I won't do anything to you, but don't even think about taking a single cent from me in the future, Yi Zichen reminded him. Don't worry, Ada patted his chest. You're my boss. How could I possibly lie to you? Alright, if there's nothing else, then I'm leaving. Go. Yizichin waved towards Ada, then hurriedly ran out of the shop. From the looks of it, it seemed like he went to give money to someone again. My lord, if there's nothing else, then this subordinate will be going out as well. Go. Pill refiner. I wonder if there's any difference between the pill refiners in this game and the outside world. After all, pill refiners have an extremely high status in the universe. If Athana was telling the truth. In the future, with a pill refiner in charge of the shop's business would definitely flourish. When that happens, then I'll look into buying other shop. Expand bit by bit. He wouldn't need to worry about money when it comes to buying resources. Hand over all your money. Suddenly, a dagger hovered by Yizichin's neck. Yizichin couldn't help but tremble at the sharp, cold light. He looked up and saw Baifeng smiling at him. How did you get in? Yizichin only relaxed when he recognized Baifeng. He pushed the dagger away. There's a place I can't go? Baifeng's expression was filled with disdain and arrogance. Your vigilance isn't good enough. If you keep this up, you'll die. So what if I die? It's just one level. It's not as simple as one level. Baifeng's gaze instantly darkened. If it's this person, then he'll die. Chapter 2172. Yizichin listened to Baifeng's words. Yizichin's heart trembled. Dead. She died in reality? The way he looked at Baifeng clearly indicated that he was serious about this matter. Yizichin's heart raced. Ha ha, look at how scared you are. Suddenly, White Phoenix, who had been keeping a straight face, burst into laughter. Yizichin, who'd felt his heart clench, let out a long sigh. You're scaring me. To be honest, Yizichin had nearly believed her. Who's scaring you? I'm telling the truth. To his surprise, after Yizichin relaxed, Baifeng insisted on what she'd just said. Yizichin had already fallen for it once. How could he believe her again? That's enough. Look at the forums yourself. Baifeng twitched her mouth. Why would I use such a thing to scare you? Haven't you noticed that there are a lot fewer players in the newbie village? Yizichin hadn't paid much attention. When he went online, there were still quite a few players in the newbie village, perhaps a bit less than before. But it wasn't like players had to stay in the newbie village. They could go out and fight monsters. A few fewer people wasn't anything worth noticing. Really? Yizichin still didn't quite believe it. No matter what, this was a virtual game. If you died here, you would die in reality too. Who would play this? What's more, it wasn't realistic. F***ck, have you humans gone mad? Suddenly, Bailey shouted in Yizichin's mind. The shriek nearly shattered Yizichin's eardrums. What is it? Are you sure this is a game? Bailey's tone was solemn. Why do I feel like... No way? If you humans had such an ability, all the other races could just bow down to you. What are you talking about? Bailey's words were so confusing that Yizichin didn't understand at all. He started from binding it. This guy was always making a fuss. Otherwise, he'd make a fuss. He was crazy. Yizichin just assumed that he'd been stifled for too long. Perhaps there was something wrong with his mind. Check the forums for me. Find posts about gamers dying in real life. Not even half a second later. Countless posts appeared in front of Yizichin's eyes. Game or reality? What is the Virtual World Corporation trying to do? Human lives are treated like grass. Death in a game will affect the real world. Written in blood by a person requesting the Virtual World Corporation to come forward and explain. What on earth is the Paragon Association doing? The Virtual World Corporation has gone crazy. Aren't they doing anything about it? This is the post you wanted, Bailey replied. Yizichin gulped, then opened the threads one by one. Yizichin was unable to read through hundreds of thousands of posts at all, so he spent more than 2 hours reading them. How is that possible? This was the only thing he could say. People could actually die in the game. As for the theory of a dead person, The first post happened after the game had just been updated. 3 players formed a party to fight monsters. After one of the players was killed by a wild monster, he never came online again. They didn't notice it at first. Leave a message on the virtual network. They didn't get a reply for a long time, but they didn't care. In the universe, it was normal to not log into the virtual network for a few days or even a few months. Even though the game made by the Virtual World Corporation was very good, people were very surprised that the in-game currency and equipment could be withdrawn, but most of them still focused on the real world. Not long later, the 2 remaining players dropped a piece of equipment that was suitable for the player who died to wear. Then, they left a message, only to find out the virtual network account had already been logged out. Logged out. There was only one possibility in the virtual network, and that was that the person had already died. That wasn't the main reason why people suspected the Virtual World Corporation. Death. It was very common in the universe. They might have died while carrying out a mission. That was something that could be explained. The problem was after that. A large number of similar posts suddenly appeared on the forums. At the start, people were crying about their best friends leaving, and wanted to seek some comfort from the posts. Gradually, as the number of posts increased, everyone started to notice a common point. People who died. All of them suddenly went offline after dying in the game, then their virtual network accounts were deleted. 1 or 2 people could be a coincidence. 100 or 200 people could be accepted. 10,000 or 20,000 people. Looking at the human population of the 3,080 universe countries, it wasn't impossible for it to be a coincidence. But 1 million or 10 million people, was it still a coincidence? Thoughts of killing people in the game started to appear on the forums. When such a theory appeared, there were still a lot of people who denied it. Death in the game meant death in reality. This was simply impossible. In order to confirm whether death in the game would affect reality, a group of people who wanted to reveal the truth appeared on the forums. They killed themselves in the game. Then, they asked their friends to pay attention. In the end, they came to a conclusion: death in the game meant death in reality. That was true. Some people instantly logged off to check on their friends after they died in the game with their own eyes. The result was very tragic. That friend had already died in reality. The moment this news was confirmed, it caused a huge uproar on the forums. It wasn't just the Second World's gaming forum. Many forums were flooded by this news. The number of Second World players decreased drastically. No one was willing to play such a crazy game. Of course, there were still a lot of players who stayed. They treasured their lives even more. All of a sudden, Yi Zichen thought of the person who stole the equipment. No wonder he kept kowtowing and begging Yi Zichen to not kill him. He was going to jail. So, he was afraid of dying in reality as well. Did the Virtual World Corporation go crazy? Yi Zichen stared straight ahead. Death in the game means death in reality. What are they trying to do? You see? Bai Feng started to carve on the ground with a dagger. I haven't chased after the people from the Overlord Alliance for the past few days. No matter what, they are humans. I don't want them to die. How is that possible? Yi Zichen still couldn't believe it. How can a game affect the safety of reality? How do people die? Don't forget how we logged into the virtual network. Bai Feng hit the nail on the head. All of a sudden, Yi Zichen was stunned. Logging into the virtual network required a mental connection. Actually, I thought about it a long time ago. If the Virtual World Corporation wanted to, they really could instantly destroy the entire human race. Bai Feng's words were like a nuclear bomb. It exploded on Yi Zichen's chest. All of a sudden, destroy the entire human race. Chapter 2173. Obliterate his consciousness? Instantly annihilating the entire human race. This sounded too frightening. The first race was the human race. Whether he lived or died was in the hands of the Virtual World Corporation. If there was a traitor to humanity in the Virtual World conglomerate, he didn't dare to imagine it. You can't be guessing, right? Yi Zichen forced a smile. It's just a guess. Bai Feng shrugged. I'm not a member of the Virtual World Corporation, so I can only guess. Don't make wild guesses. It's too scary. Yi Zichen let out a deep sigh. Be careful of being targeted by the Virtual World Corporation. Then, they'll sue you for slander and inciting the public's emotions. They don't dare. Bai Feng waved her hand nonchalantly. What she said is actually possible. Bai Li's sudden appearance scared Yi Zichen quite a bit. Theoretically speaking, the Virtual World Corporation does have that ability. Bai Li smiled. Who's that little guy? Bai Feng stared at Bai Li, who was on Yi Zichen's shoulder. I am Bai Li, you can call me the Great Lord Bai Li. Bai Li proudly raised his head. Photon computer? How can your photon computer enter the game? Bai Feng's words were filled with curiosity. She also had an optical computer. However, her optical computer could only communicate with her, and could not materialize into the game. Not sure. Yi Zichen shook his head, then frowned towards Bai Li seriously. Was what you said just now true? Don't say something like that. It's true. Bai Li was very serious when facing Yi Zichen's question. The virtual world is structured by the Virtual World Corporation. Humans connect their consciousnesses, so it can be said that they have given their brains to the Virtual World Corporation. If the Virtual World Corporation has any ulterior motives, you will naturally have to die. F***ck, suddenly, Bai Li shouted again. What now? I suddenly recalled the words of the elders in my race. They said that the most terrifying thing about the human race isn't the Paragon Association, but the Virtual World Corporation. I didn't understand it then, but now I do. The Virtual World Corporation controlled the life and death of the human race. Destroying the human race might be a serious matter. But if they really did betray the human race, they could choose a time when the human race had the most people online, or when the human race's most powerful figures were logged into the virtual network. Get rid of him. Without the protection of powerful beings, humans would not be able to escape the calamity of destruction. If that's the case, wouldn't those overlords and venerables not dare to log on to the virtual network? Also, the levels of the overlords and sovereigns in this game are very low. Does killing them mean that they're dead in real life? Yi Zichen was a bit speechless. This was a little too comical. He had spent billions of years to reach the top. Enter the game and kill a few monsters to experience the game. Before the monsters can be killed, they will be killed. An overlord had fallen? Yes. Bai Li nodded. Theoretically, yes. I'm not sure if there are any titled battle pet warriors on the death list. I don't think so. Bai Feng chimed in. Those fellows are very shrewd. They'll avoid the slightest disturbance in advance. In other words, they're all offline. They're not online. Yi Zichen could understand. They wouldn't be stupid enough to risk their own lives to decide a person's life and death so carelessly. Why don't you go offline? Even though Zhang Xian didn't know Bai Feng's identity, judging from her extravagant spending and the subordinates she mentioned, it was unlikely that she was an ordinary person. I don't know why I'm going offline. White Phoenix's answer was as simple as ever. I'm in the spaceship. Why do you want me to go offline? To train? I don't want that. Bai Feng blinked as soon as she finished speaking. You're not going offline, are you? I have this thought. Yi Zichen nodded honestly. He did value his life quite a bit. Even if there was gold all over the place, he couldn't bear to part with it. If he didn't grit his teeth and persevere here, he would become a salted fish in reality. What are you afraid of? It's fine as long as you don't die. Bai Feng patted Yi Zichen's shoulders. You should thank me for not harboring any ill intentions towards you. If I did, you would have died countless times already. Thank you, heroine, for not killing me, Yi Zichen bowed. Bai Feng's sudden interruption warmed Yi Zichen's heart somewhat. But he was still worried. Do you think the Virtual World Corporation will come out and explain? They definitely won't be willing. With the temper of the Virtual World Corporation, they won't even bother to explain. Bai Feng acted as if she understood the Virtual World Corporation very well. But I reckon that they will most likely explain. Why? The pressure of public opinion. They can ignore the Society of Supremes, but there are billions. The public opinion of all living beings still affects them greatly. You don't have to say billions on purpose. I understand what you mean, Yi Zichen couldn't help but retort. Under the pressure of public opinion, they will come out and explain. But what is the Virtual World Corporation doing right now? Oh right, Yi Zichen's eyes suddenly lit up. Wait a moment, I'm going to ask an insider. Yi Zichen called out to the little fairy. As expected, Xianyuan Xiang appeared. But this time, before Yi Zichen could speak, he saw the seriousness in her gaze. Xiangjie, I can't tell you anything this time, Xianyuan Xiang shook her head seriously. I haven't asked anything yet. No matter what it is, I can tell you. Also, I know what you want to ask. I've been paying attention to your every move. I want to ask you why you're so pretty. Ugh, Xianyuan Xiang's expression instantly broke. Maybe it's because I was born beautiful. Yi Zichen chatted with Xianyuan Xiang for a bit, then she excused herself, saying that she had other matters to attend to. Judging from her words, Yi Zichen already had a rough idea of the answer. He just found it a bit hard to believe. How was it? What did the insider say? Bai Feng was very curious. Yi Zichen shook his head silently. Nothing. I knew it. Bai Feng twitched her mouth. I thought I would get some gossip. What a shame. Yi Zichen clicked open his friends list. Lil Tanuki wasn't online either. Since something like that happened to the Virtual World Corporation, it seemed like the entire corporation was in a state of lockdown. No one was allowed to leak any information. Boring, how about we go fight some monsters? Bai Feng suggested, since she didn't like fighting monsters to level up. No, what are you afraid of? She didn't even give Yi Zichen a chance to retort. Just be careful. What's more, as long as you don't fight monsters of a ridiculously high level, you won't die, right? That's true. All right, you're a man, why are you wasting time? Bai Feng frowned. I'm going, so I'm going. Chapter 2174. Octagonal Table Meeting. Seated here were the representatives of the 8 great tycoons. In the past, whenever the human race had a decision to make, everyone would gather together to discuss. Unless it was a special occasion, they wouldn't call for such a meeting, because such a meeting represented a trial. Virtual World Company, what exactly do you want? At the octagonal table, a middle-aged man rubbed his chin. This person's hair was like fire, his eyes were pitch black, his left and right cheeks had 3 scars like a cat's whiskers. A red robe draped over his body, golden battle boots on his feet. A blood moon scimitar was sheathed by his waist, his left hand supporting himself on the octagonal table, his right leg wide open, his body arched as he squinted at the southern direction of the octagonal table. You guys sure are vicious. If it wasn't for the second world that you guys developed being revealed, we wouldn't even know that you guys have the weakness of the entire human race. With a thought, you can destroy the human race. Good methods, good methods. The middle-aged man laughed and clapped, his eyes filled with mockery and aggression. The others at the table didn't speak. At this time, the true leaders of the various parties hadn't arrived yet. Before they spoke, they wouldn't unwisely participate. Dong, before the middle-aged man finished, a cat-tailed lady stood out from the southern direction, slamming the table. Huozhu, don't slander us. Our Virtual World Company has never thought of destroying the human race. We won't do it, we can't do it. Why not? The middle-aged man in the northwest squinted, his fingers digging into his ears. The leader of your Virtual World Company is an outsider, and your upper echelon, they aren't humans. Following which, the middle-aged man looked at the old man in the east. President, those who aren't of our race definitely have ulterior motives. President, we don't. The person in the south spoke up. The one sitting in the east was the president of the Supremes Association, also one of the highest beings of the human race. He had white hair and a youthful face. He sat casually on his chair. He wore a white robe which accentuated his celestial aura. No one knew how long he had lived for. All they knew was that he was the longest living human of the human race. There were 24 people standing behind him, all of whom were overlords. As for the ones who spoke, they were from the Virtual World Corporation and the Universe Allied Arena respectively. 9 Faces, Candle. Both of you, stop talking. The old man lightly knocked on the table. You're all overlords, so why are you still making a ruckus like a junior? The 9-faced overlord did not say anything else. However, the candlelight overlord was relentless. It was as if he wanted to use this octagonal table meeting to crush the Virtual World Corporation. Guild leader. Candlelight grinned. I'm just reminding you out of goodwill. I don't mean anything else. Zhu Hua. Are you trying to start a war? In an instant, with the 9-faced overlord as the leader, the Virtual World Corporation took a step forward. Boundless cosmic energy was released from their bodies. There were a total of 72 people from the Virtual World Corporation. Among them, 36 were overlords and 36 were supremacies. This was not even the full power of the Virtual World Corporation. Even though the Octagonal Table Conference had been initiated, the Virtual World Corporation still had an important position in the universe, so there was still a need to leave some experts behind to oversee the universe. Even so, these 72 people had to exist. Not to mention destroying the human race, just destroying some universe countries for fun was definitely not a problem. You think I'm afraid of you? The candlelight slammed the table fiercely. Behind him, another 40 people walked up. They were all overlords and supremacies. I haven't even settled the score with you for the scar on my face. In the past, outside, it was hard to even meet an existence in a galaxy, yet here, they were all appearing in large numbers. The other parties watched coldly from the sidelines. Even though they were allies, they wouldn't make a move. This was because they were very clear that the guild leader wouldn't allow the Virtual World Corporation and the Universe Alliance Arena to make a move here. Enough. As expected, just as the two Leviathans were about to clash, the old man's face was filled with rage. What time is it already, and you're still causing a ruckus? If you really have the ability, go kill a few overlords and supremacies. Don't just be a pushover. Tisk, the candlelight overlord spat, his face revealing a calm expression. Why would I bicker with you, a person who doesn't even deserve a seat in the Octagonal Table Conference? Bickering with you is embarrassing. Gently raising his hand, the experts of the arena retreated. The 9-faced overlord also raised his hand. The experts of the Virtual World Corporation also retreated. You're right. I don't deserve to sit on the octagonal table chair, but even so, I beat you up to the point that you, who can sit on the chair, don't dare to leave the main planet for 3,000 years. The Alliance Arena is only SOSO. Ever since Senior 3000 Luo retired, the Alliance Arena has been declining year by year. If I hand the seat over to you, I'm afraid you'll cause the Alliance Arena to fall from its position, not even having the right to enter this place in the future. The 9-faced overlord's words were like knives, scraping Candlelight's heart. In terms of battle strength, even if he didn't want to admit it, he was indeed lacking. Beaten up to the point that he didn't dare to leave the main planet for 3,000 years. This was the greatest humiliation of his life. Yet he didn't have the ability to rebut. Don't talk about me, I'm afraid you won't even be able to beat our Virtual World Corporation's 7 ghosts. The 9-faced overlord didn't give up. You better behave yourself. If the Virtual World Corporation wants to destroy you, it'll be as easy as killing an ant, understand? In just a short few minutes, The momentum of the Virtual World Corporation had already surpassed that of the joint gladiator arena. Overlord Candlelight pretended to sneer. The nine-faced Overlord tilted his head and smiled as he looked at Overlord Candlelight's ashen face. Sure enough, like master, like servant. The master is not human, and the servant is also treacherous. You don't deserve to enter the octagonal table conference, and you don't deserve to stay in the human race. Overlord Candlelight didn't know what to say, so he could only try to save some face. Boom! In an instant, Overlord Candlelight, who was sitting on the chair, was suddenly sent flying, blood spurting out of his mouth. Everyone trembled, not knowing what had happened. Immediately, the man in the north had a solemn expression. Candlelight, you misspoke. At the same time, in the pitch-black octagonal table conference space, a graceful and luxuriously dressed woman in red high heels walked out. Behind her were 9 snow-white tails. She seemed to be born with this trait of attracting attention. The moment she entered, everyone noticed her. Big sister. The nine-faced Overlord ran out with a smile. The newcomer gently touched Nine-Faced's cheeks and glanced at Overlord Candlelight, who was on the ground. The corners of her lips curled up and she walked straight to her seat. Dog. Looks like it's not easy to be a dog. Chapter 2175. In the pitch-black octagonal conference room, Nine-Tailed Fox Lady seemed to be talking to herself. She only covered her mouth when she sensed that the atmosphere around the octagonal table wasn't too good. Huizhu, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about a pet dog I met when I was talking about it. That pet dog was very flattering and kept barking at its owner's opponent, wanting to win glory for its owner. Who knew that the dog's owner didn't appreciate it at all? He even kicked the dog, causing its mouth to be full of blood. I feel sorry for it. Nine-Tailed Fox Lady seemed to be lamenting the dog's misery. She then looked at the Candlelight Overlord and saw that his face was also stained with blood. She hurriedly explained. Huizhu, I'm really not talking about you. She pointed at the Candlelight Overlord several times. Huizhu's face was as dark as iron. He silently clenched his fist and said nothing. Nine-Tailed Fox Lady also smiled. Don't overthink it. No matter what, you're still a leading figure in the arena and can enter the octagonal conference. How can you be someone else's dog? Little Tanuki, is this interesting? The man in the north, who was facing Nine-Tailed Fox Lady, lowered his gaze. What did you call me? Nine-Tailed Fox Lady frowned, her eyes filled with murderous light. One Li, the man corrected himself. What's interesting? Instantly, the murderous look in her eyes disappeared. Nine-Tailed Fox Lady continued her previous words, pretending to be confused. This octagonal table conference isn't for you to tell stories you saw on the way here, the man said softly. But I want to. Can't I? The Nine-Tailed Fox Lady smiled as she gently leaned back in her chair. Her expression was calm and composed. I said I want to continue. Who dares to stop me? The expressions of the people at the conference table changed drastically. The Candlelight Overlord gritted his teeth. The man representing the mercenary alliance in the north didn't seem to have changed, but his fingers were exerting force. The man representing the Union Bank in the west smiled. 2 of the other 3 people remained calm. They looked like they were watching a good show, while the other one looked conflicted. The Artifact Hall in the southeast, the Alchemy Guild in the southwest, and the Energy Management Center in the northeast. This is the universe. You must be careful with your words. Whether it's a dog or a human, there's no way out if you keep wagging your tail and flattering me. You still have to prove that your fists are hard enough. The Nine-Tailed Fox Lady looked at her fair palms with a satisfied expression. Only then can you control your own fate and the fate of others. Done. The old man in the east frowned and interrupted him again. The Nine-Tailed Fox Lady could not help but frown. Seeing her expression, the old man also spoke. What? You're not going to listen to me anymore? How could that be? The Nine-Tailed Fox Lady smiled. Her smile was like a blooming rose. It was beautiful and moving, but it was thorny. I don't like it when people interrupt me when I'm writing a story. The faces of everyone in the octagonal conference room changed. What the nine-tailed fox lady had just said could be understood as saying that even the president of the Paramount Beings Association wasn't qualified to control him. Was this a signal? The Virtual World Corporation wanted to break away from the control of the Paragon Association. Ali, the man in the West, couldn't help but speak up. Blue Emperor, are you going to disturb me as well? The nine-tailed fox lady glanced at the man with the constellation on his forehead. You should be the one who understands me the most here, right? The constellation man silently retracted his hand. Shortly after, the nine-tailed fox lady stood up and looked at the overlords and venerables in the room. Who else wants to interfere with my story? Step forward. 8 overlords, close to 500 overlords and venerables. No one dared to say a word. Seeing this scene, the nine-tailed fox lady shook her head in disdain. If the master of the Milky Way was here, he would definitely dare to step forward. The president is his teacher, after all. He won't tolerate anyone provoking the president. Even if it's me, letting out a long sigh, the nine-tailed fox lady looked at the experts from the Paragon Association. The 24 overlords are all here. I was challenging the authority of the Paragon Association just now. Aren't you guys going to do anything? How interesting. Wenli, that's enough. I know you have a grudge against the Milky Way. If you've vented enough, sit down. The old president maintained a gentle tone. Since when did I vent? How would I dare? The nine-tailed fox lady sat on a chair and looked at the leaders at the octagonal table. This is an octagonal table. You guys are going to judge me and my Virtual World Corporation. If I'm too presumptuous, you guys can vote by raising your hands. I'm going to be labeled as a traitor to the human race, just like the master of the Milky Way. The Milky Way incident was my decision. The old president frowned. Isn't it your decision? That's why I'm afraid of you. The nine-tailed fox lady shook her head and laughed. 5 votes against, 2 in favor, and 1 abstained. Ha 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 ha. In the end, I actually received a wanted order from the Paragon Association. May I ask, this octagonal table, what's the point of its existence? The nine-tailed fox lady grinned and nodded as she laughed. Just change it to a dictatorship of the Paragon Association. It feels good to have power, right? The evidence of the master of the Milky Way's betrayal of the human race is conclusive. The candlelight overlord shouted. What's wrong with issuing a wanted order for him? My friend opposite, the nine-tailed fox lady, completely ignored candlelight and pouted at the man opposite her. Keep the dog leash tighter. He's coming out to bark. So annoying. Wenli, who are you calling? It was that look again, the same look she gave the leader of the Mercenary Alliance previously. Know your place. Who can you call and who can't, understand? Wenli. From the beginning, the candlelight overlord had suffered humiliation. At this moment, he could not hold it in any longer. He was the overlord, the ruler of the arena. He was, shut up. The leader of the Mercenary Alliance slapped him. Wenli, I apologize to you here. Ha 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 ha, see that, Candlelight, you treat him like a big brother, but he really treats you like a dog. Look, there are hundreds of overlords and venerables. Where can you put your face? The nine-tailed fox lady stretched out her hand and patted Candlelight's face twice. What do you think of my palm strength? It's very light, right? Why don't you become my dog? F***CK. Candlelight instantly stood up. The experts of the Virtual World Corporation all stepped forward. Immediately, the experts of the arena were about to make a move, and the experts of the United Bank followed suit. For a moment, the conference space was in chaos. Wenli, are you done messing around? I'm not messing around. The nine-tailed fox lady turned around abruptly. Why do you always think that I'm messing around? Have you gone senile? Chapter 2176. One Li. A blue-eyed, white-haired young man walked out from behind the old guild master. The space around him was slightly distorted. His blue eyes were filled with anger, his right hand clenched into a fist as he scolded the nine-tailed fox lady. "Mind your position!" The other leaders were silent, but the surprise in the eyes of the overlords and the venerables behind them was at its peak. The head of the virtual world group actually said that the guild master was senile. When he was here, I couldn't even breathe. Now you're much more active, even daring to order me around? The nine-tailed fox lady only looked at him with a smile. She was always smiling, but her face always darkened the moment the smile lingered. He was defined as a traitor. You've been whispering to the old man a lot. Did you do something, honestly? Li smiled and raised her eyebrows. The blue-eyed man squinted. Stop putting labels on others. Let me talk about your attitude towards the guild master. What guild master? Isn't that your grandfather? Li waved her hand impatiently, sat on the chair and pouted. Taishang Yining, everyone here is an old acquaintance, it's not like they don't know you. This is an octagonal table meeting. Taishang Yining roared. What's wrong with the meeting? Li still had that disdainful look. Isn't this your Taishang meeting? Li, we'll talk about he later. The old guild master still maintained the attitude of an elder, ending the heated conversation between the younger generation. This time I asked you to judge me. I know. Li interrupted the old guild master. Actually, there's no need, so what if the meeting is held? Do you think I'll definitely be convicted by the vote? What do you mean? Taishang Yining said angrily. I mean it. Li didn't care. Yining, you should also grow up. Don't you know what the surnames of the people sitting here are? If you don't know, I'll say it out loud, okay? As soon as she finished, Li really didn't hide anything. Our universe's 3 idiots, the Energy Administration Bureau, the Joint Gladiator Arena, and the Mercenary Alliance. These 3 are in the same group, and their surnames are Shenhua. While speaking, Li didn't forget to look at the head of the Mercenary Alliance. Right, Shenhua Lord. Then there are our good guys, the Alchemy Guild and the Tool Hall. Neither of them is on good terms with the other, because no one dares to provoke them. Li looked at the 2 leaders again. Haha, even the virtual world group doesn't dare? The old man of the Alchemy Guild laughed. Why would I provoke you? I'm not stupid. Li also smiled. The old man of the Alchemy Guild burst into laughter. Li continued to speak. Virtual World Corporation, Universe United Bank, we're both small fries. In order to survive in the universe, we can only form group. After that would be your Grand Supreme Family. Actually, the alliance of several parties was an indisputable fact in the universe, but no one really said it in this kind of meeting. Everyone turned a blind eye to this kind of thing. Because no one party could truly be the strongest to sway the outcome of the vote. Actually, this could be seen from the seating. The Energy Management Office and the Gladiator Arena sat on the left and right of the Mercenary Alliance. Li said it out loud, the others didn't mind? The people from the Mercenary Alliance didn't have a good expression on their faces. In a while, even if we vote, the Mercenary Alliance has 3 votes, I have 2, the Alchemy Guild and the Tool Hall give up, I'll be convicted. Li still maintained her smile. So I don't want to explain anything, you guys don't deserve my explanation. Li. Tai Bai Yining, you better shut up. Li's eyes were filled with killing intent. In the octagonal table meeting, only the leaders of the 8 parties can speak. I really don't know since when did the people here start to be so unruly. You, step down. The old president shouted. Grand Supreme Yining unwillingly clenched his fist and stepped back. Li, you really don't want to explain? Yes. Since that's the case, let's vote. Before the old president finished speaking, Li had already left the octagonal table. Li, what are you doing? I won't participate in the vote. You guys can vote however you want. Li shrugged. Even if you convict me, don't expect me to surrender. I'm not as foolishly loyal as he. I don't trust any of you here. Twisting her neck, Wunli smiled with dimples. Also, our virtual world group welcomes all of you at any time. Don't say useless things, just fight and it'll be over. If anyone is dissatisfied, feel free to come to my group. I'll give you a memorable public lecture. Virtual world group, let's go. Wunli walked at the front with a cold face, then the many experts of the virtual world group, with 9 faces as the leader, cautiously retreated out of the octagonal table. What, just leave as you should. Wunli felt the cautiousness of her subordinates, and said, I'd like to see who dares to stop us. If anyone dares to move, I'll wipe out his entire family. The overlords and venerable ones in the entire conference space swallowed their saliva. To be an overlord and a venerable, the family members behind them were naturally extremely large. Wipe out the entire family. Wunli was probably the only one in the entire universe who could say something like that, and everyone knew that she would do what she said. No one dared to move, including Grand Supreme Yi Ning. Until this moment, the old president finally showed a hint of anger on his face. He did not say anything, nor did he look at Wunli. He just sat on the chair, feeling the departure of the virtual world group. Alright, let me say one last thing. Wunli, who was about to leave, walked back and faced the old president's back. Old master, don't forget who allowed your great family to sit in this position. If you don't want to sit anymore, I don't mind taking it back for him. Wunli left, and the entire conference room was dead silent. For a long time, no one spoke at the octagonal table. The overlords and venerable ones were also silent. I vote against it. Against the conviction of the virtual world group's venerable Wunli by the octagonal table. No matter what the crime is, the United Bank will not recognize it. The head of the United Bank raised his hand, then left the table and nodded at the other heads. I won't stay here any longer, just give me a final result when the time comes. I'll just say one thing, Inhe and Wunli are my best friends. I don't believe the Milky Way rebels, but since things have come to this, I respect the octagonal table's decision. But if anyone dares to touch Wunli again, I only have these 2 friends, and I've already lost Inhe. I won't ignore Wunli. Let's go, United Bank. Chapter 2177. Blue Emperor. Suddenly, the old chairman stopped the head of the United Bank. Teacher. The Blue Emperor stopped and cupped his hands at the old man expressionlessly. The experts of the United Bank were all eyeing the Paragon Association. At this time, it was like pulling one hair and the whole body would be affected. Since the leader had already spoken, he would definitely stand on the side of the Virtual World Corporation. The Virtual World Group had already made it clear. If they are willing to accept war. The experts of the United Bank had no fear and stood on the side of the Virtual World Corporation. The Virtual World Corporation and the United Bank had a lot of contact. The relationship between the overlords and the venerables was also very good. Why are you like this too? The old president's voice was trembling. I have to ask you about that. The Blue Emperor remained expressionless. He looked at the old president without the slightest bit of respect that a disciple would show his teacher. How much he respects you? How could you be so heartless as to say that he betrayed the human race? Teacher. The Blue Larch dragged out his voice, and his eyes suddenly became a little moist. Wunli may be a little too straightforward. I hope you can understand because she has a special feeling for Inhe. I don't agree with some of her words, but some of them, she's right. Who sent you to this seat you're sitting in? Is it us sitting here again, or is it the Milky Way that you have defined as a traitor to the human race? To think that there would be such a huge change in the history of the human race. Yi Zichen sat on the ground. Despite Yi Zichen's intense opposition, Bai Feng didn't convince him to go fight monsters. The 2 of them sat around the safe zone of the beginner village and chatted. Strangely enough, White Phoenix's evil deeds did not decrease, but the NPCs in the novice village did not attack him. It was most likely because the character name was hidden. Just now, they'd talked about the history of humanity in the universe, and Yi Zichen remembered one of Bai Feng's surnames. The Grand Elder. Haha, you've never heard of me, right? Bai Feng laughed. Hang out with Big Sister a lot, Big Sister knows a lot. According to Bai Feng, there was a huge change in the history of the human race's development. A change of dynasty. The power structure of the universe's humans seemed complicated. There must be a real arbiter behind this. In the past, the true arbiters of the human race were the Lar family. This family could no longer be seen, and even the surname Lar could not be found. The reason was that the Lar family had been exterminated. An era would eventually come to an end. The Lar family had been the arbiter for countless years, and their clansmen could be found in every corner of the universe. The inside was decaying. After countless concessions and toleration, the great supreme family decided to overthrow the rule of the Lar family and return true freedom to the human race. Once this was announced, many forces in the universe responded. As a former adjudicator, the Lar family also had the most vassal families. That battle directly reduced the strength of the human race by 60%. One had to know that before this war, humans had absolute dominance over the entire universe. The outsiders didn't even dare to resist. Surrender or die, these were the only choices the non-humankind could make. But after that battle, the power of the human race suffered a destructive blow. Hundreds of alien races were freed from the control of the human race. They seized this opportunity and started to fight against the human race. Fortunately, the development of the human race was extremely fast, allowing the race to stabilize. However, they would not be able to take back their absolute overlord status in a short period of time. From then on, the humans and the mutated races started a never-ending war. Is the current ruler of the human race also the Grand Supreme? Yes, but it's not absolute. Before, when the Lar family was destroyed, the Great Supreme family took over and held absolute power. But now, the Grand Supreme isn't the absolute arbiter. The final decision is made by the octagonal table, replied Bai Feng. The octagonal table? The 8 great powers of the universe. Yi Zichen nodded. That didn't sound too bad. At least it wasn't a dictatorship. Then what you meant earlier was that there was no octagonal table before, right? Asked Yi Zichen. Yes, there were no 8 great powers before, said Bai Feng. Bai Feng said, you should also understand that when a person has absolute power, they will change. After the first leader of the Great Supreme Family overthrew the Lar family, he gave the human race freedom for several tens of millions of years, then began to walk the same path as the Lars. That's been a long time. Power was indeed fascinating, especially when it came to absolute power. The Great Supreme Family could give the human race freedom for millions of years. That was already quite good. It's not too bad. Bai Feng shrugged. That's how the Lar family was overthrown. When the Great Supreme Family saw their leader walk the same path, they naturally had to stop him. That's why someone appeared in their family. Who? The Great Supreme Heavenly Water, said Bai Feng. He seized the position of clan head? Smart. Bai Feng nodded. But seizing the position isn't that simple. He succeeded mainly because of his identity. What identity? He's a teacher. Teacher? Yi Zichen was shocked. A teacher seizes power with a pen? It seems like the universe uses its fists to do the talking. That depends on whose teacher he is, said Bai Feng. What? Are his students amazing? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Amazing? They're not just amazing, they're extremely, extremely amazing. Bai Feng spread her arms in an exaggerated manner. Do you know who his students are? I don't know. From Bai Feng's words, Yi Zichen could roughly guess that her students were absolutely terrifying. They were definitely all overlords or sovereigns. Do you want to know? Of course. Then you'd better prepare yourself. Bai Feng exhaled deeply, as though she was stabilizing her emotions. of the current 3,080 universe countries, 1147 universe country leaders are his students. What? F***ck me. What kind of godly teacher is this? 1147 universe country leaders' students, no wonder he could succeed. His students were already comparable to half the universe. Scared? Bifong grinned. A little. There's more to fear. Bifong patted Yi Zichen on the shoulder. Listen up, the head of the Virtual World Corporation, Wen Li, the head of the Universe Union Bank, Lord Godfire, the head of the Universe Mercenary Alliance, they're all his students. Huh! The head of the Pill Alliance, Dan Yi, and the head of the Artifact Hall, Taishang Wanghua. One is his brother-in-law, and the other is his younger brother. I'm not done yet. Bifong looked at Yi Zichen, who couldn't close his mouth, and smiled. And the Master of the Milky Way is also his student. And for him to be able to sit in this position, the people I mentioned before have contributed to it. The rest is the work of the Master of the Galaxy. It can be said that the Master of the Galaxy pushed him to the supreme seat. Chapter 2178. Octagon Table Conference. Since the two leaders had left, there was no need for the meeting to continue. Does anyone have any objections? If you think the Virtual World Group is guilty, please raise your left hand. If you think the Virtual World Group is innocent, please raise your right hand. The remaining 6 leaders raised their right hands without exception. Even the Overlord of Candlelight did the same. He chose the Virtual World Group to be innocent in this conference. Alright, the results are out. That's it. The Virtual World Group is innocent. The Supremes Association will send a message within 3 hours. The Octagon Table Conference is over. All the leaders left. After leaving, the Overlord of Candlelight looked at the leader of the Mercenary Alliance. Big brother, how did you know? Is there even a need to think about it? The leader shook his head. Wen Li and Blue Emperor have spoken to this extent. Do you think my teacher will still think the Virtual World Group is guilty? But Wen Li is so rash. This is all acceptable. The leader of the Mercenary Alliance smiled. Teacher's feelings for Yin He you don't know. Even I don't know. Moreover, even if we take a step back, who do you think is willing to start a war with the Virtual World Group? He sighed and patted the Overlord of Candlelight's shoulder. It wasn't easy for me to raise you to this position. Think more before you do anything in the future. The Virtual World Group is a thorn in our side. It won't be easy to get rid of them. Contact me through the virtual network if there's anything else. Big brother, the Virtual World Group. The Overlord of Candlelight frowned. He wanted to say that the Virtual World Group used the virtual network's consciousness to kill people. They won't do that. The leader of the Mercenary Alliance shrugged. Wen Li is a smart person. If she really did that, it wouldn't be good for anyone. Just use her. In the empty conference room, the old president sat on a chair. Grandfather. Yining, go out. Let me sit here for a while. The old president sighed. Taishang Yining left the conference room. After a long time. Am I really wrong? Yin He, tell me. Am I really wrong? He closed his eyes slowly. For a moment, the old president seemed to have returned to the past. Knock, knock, knock. There was a light knock on the door. He turned back and saw an energetic and passionate young man standing at the door. Teacher. The young man walked in with a solemn expression on his face. Teacher, I've heard about your matter. I'm willing to support your plan. Kill. Teacher, don't worry. With me around, no one can hurt you. His face was covered in blood, and his body was covered in wounds. Teacher, congratulations on becoming the very high leader. The youth had already grown up. Compared to his former vigor, he seemed to have experienced the vicissitudes of life. From today onwards, the human universe shall establish the Paragons Association and become the 8th major power. The Supremes Association is above the 7 major powers, and the decisions of the Supremes Association are final. Teacher will be the president of the association. Which one of you has a problem with that? That year, the Supremes Association was established. The Milky Way Master, who was already the most prestigious person in the human universe, gave up his position as the president of the Supremes Association to the old president. As his thoughts drifted further and further away, the old president sat quietly on the chair. His murky eyes looked at the pitch-black world, and the words of Blue Emperor and Wan Li lingered in his mind. Was I really wrong? Have I changed? Just where did you learn all of this? Yi Zichen looked at Bai Feng in horror. Bai Feng's words couldn't even be found on the virtual network. It wasn't a problem of authority, it was just that there was no such thing. Tisk, so what? Bai Feng shrugged nonchalantly. The Milky Way Master lost 90% of his family in order to help his teacher ascend. If they hadn't won in the end, the Milky Way Master's family would have been destroyed. Given the Milky Way Master's personality, he would never surrender. Then why did the Milky Way Master's teacher betray the Milky Way Master? How did he do it? Yi Zichen frowned. After Bai Feng told Yi Zichen about the change in the Milky Way Master's dynasty, Bai Feng said it was a pity that the Milky Way Master's teacher had betrayed him. He was curious about the destruction of the Milky Way Master. Did it have anything to do with the betrayal of the Milky Way Master? Are you an idiot? Bai Feng looked at Yi Zichen in horror. The Milky Way Master was labeled a traitor. Wasn't it because of the Very High? Isn't that the Tsangyue Alliance? Suddenly, Yi Zichen froze, then gulped. Are you trying to say that the Milky Way Master betrayed the human race? The Milky Way Master betrayed the human race? It was all decided by the Very High? What do you think? Bai Feng shrugged. Even if Tsangyue is one of the top experts, he doesn't have the power to label the Milky Way Master a traitor. They'll issue an arrest warrant only if they get the Very High's approval. With that, Bai Feng let out a long sigh. Since we're at this point, I'll tell you some explosive news. You'll definitely be shocked. Go ahead. In truth, Bai Feng had already told him too much explosive news. He couldn't quite digest it all at once. But since it was about the Milky Way Master, he was willing to hear more. The Octagonal Table Conference. Didn't I just tell you? Yi Zichen nodded. When she mentioned the change of dynasties, Bai Feng had mentioned the Octagonal Table Conference. It was for the sake of human freedom and fairness. They didn't want a single family to decide everything. The leaders of the 8 great powers would vote to decide something. If there was a tie, the matter would be put on hold for 10 years. They would wait and see, then vote again. Back then, when Tsangyue suggested that the Milky Way Master betrayed the human race, the verdict was against it. Bai Feng squinted her eyes and snorted. Against it? Yi Zichen was stunned. If it was against it, then why? That's right. That's why the Very High betrayed the Milky Way Master and the Milky Way Galaxy. The meeting was against it, but 3 hours after the meeting ended, the Tsangyue system issued an arrest warrant for the Milky Way Master and the Milky Way Master. That was the Very High's idea. Bai Feng giggled. How do you know all this? From the change in human history, to the Milky Way Master helping his teacher seize power, to the truth of the Octagonal Table Conference. Everything Bai Feng said was so true that no one could find any problems with it. It was as if she had experienced it herself. Because I was in the meeting, Bai Feng smiled at Yi Zichen. And I voted against it. Chapter 2179. Boom! The sound of thunder exploded. Yi Zichen felt like his head was about to explode. He couldn't help but take a few steps back as he looked at the smiling white phoenix. Within the octagonal table, only those above the level of supremacy could enter. She even participated in the voting. Yi Zichen stared intently at White Phoenix. Just what kind of person had I been dealing with all this time? What are you afraid of? Since I told you, that means I wasn't trying to hide anything from you, White Phoenix shrugged. I'm just a bit surprised. Yizichin took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. You. What faction's leader are you? The 8 great factions? White Phoenix raised her eyebrows. Yizichin nodded. According to White Phoenix, only the leaders of the 8 great factions could participate in the voting. I'm not from anywhere, White Phoenix shrugged. Then in the human universe, there are the 5 guardian divine clans. They can participate in the voting for certain special events. The Master of the Milky Way's matter is especially important. I was invited, so I voted against it, replied White Phoenix. Which faction are you on? Asked Yizichin. I am the Phoenix God Clan's representative, Sovereign Spiritual Phoenix. White Phoenix squinted her eyes and told him her identity. I see. For some reason, Yizichin wasn't as terrified as before when he learned of White Phoenix's identity. Sometimes people were like that. They would feel fear in the face of the unknown. When the truth was right in front of them, even if it still made them panic, the truth was the truth. No matter how terrified they were, it was the truth. If they couldn't change it, they had to accept it. For some reason, Yizichin thought back to the day he'd entered the game. Back then, White Phoenix had said she was the sovereign spiritual phoenix. It was just that no one had believed her at the time, including Yizichin. So you're telling the truth, Yizichin smiled wryly. What? Oh, I got it. White Phoenix instantly understood. Bai Feng reacted instantly. You were there too. I always tell the truth. I never lie. Oh yeah, I have a question, said Yizichin. Speak. Didn't you join the Association of Supremes and become their highness? How did you become one of the 5 guardian divine clans? Well, I can't be your highness forever. White Phoenix looked outside the novice village. I have obtained the legacy of the divine fire lineage, so naturally, I have left the Supremes Association. It's the same for the Milky Way ruler. He eventually became the Milky Way ruler, not a highness of the Paragon Association. Bai Feng looked at the sky with a sigh. My divine fire inheritance was given to me by the Master of the Galaxy. He said that he wanted to walk his own path and not walk the path of others. You know the Milky Way Master? Yizichin raised his eyebrows. I know him, but I'm not familiar with him, Bai Feng said with a smile. He's someone I look up to. He can be considered half a teacher to me. Bai Feng's words were very strange. They knew each other, but they weren't familiar with each other. After that, she said that the Master of the Galaxy was half her teacher. A teacher who had imparted knowledge to him. Why weren't they familiar? Earlier, she had said that the Master of the Milky Way had given him the inheritance of the Divine Fire Clan. Was there such a thing as giving way between master and disciple? Only in a competitive relationship, where one party could obtain something but did not want it, would it be giving way. Yizichin didn't understand, but when he saw Bai Feng's emotional expression, he resisted the urge to ask. You should understand now, right? Why do I know so much about the Master of the Galaxy? It's because I'm a huge fan of his. I joined the Society of Supremes and became a highness. It's precisely because the Master of the Galaxy once joined that I joined. Wait a moment. Suddenly Yizichin reached out. I've discovered a huge problem. What problem? A matter of time. Yizichin frowned. The Master of the Galaxy took the position of clan head for his teacher, right? That's right. Bai Feng nodded. That means the Master of the Galaxy was already extremely strong enough to stand at the peak of humanity. More or less. The Society of Supremes was founded after that. That's right. Then why did the Master of the Galaxy, who was clearly already a peak expert, join the Society of Supremes and become a highness? Yizichin furrowed his brows and looked at Bai Feng. Why? A person who stood at the peak of humanity. How could he participate in the War of Geniuses and join the Society of Supremes? A supreme expert bullying a bunch of universe-level experts? That was insane. If that was really the case, countless geniuses would curse at the master of the galaxy. I can't tell you that, Bai Feng shook her head. You're right and your thoughts aren't wrong. But why did the master of the galaxy participate in the war of geniuses and join the Society of Supremes? This is a top secret of humanity. Since you're asking this question, it means you're not at that level yet. When you get there, you'll naturally find out. Top secret? Yi Zichen frowned. He thought about it for a long time, but still couldn't figure it out. Rebirth? Space-time travel? Youth rejuvenation? Either way, Yi Zichen didn't think it was possible. Bai Feng refused to say. She just said he'd naturally find out when he reached that level. Just what level? She didn't say. Alright, don't think too much about it. Even if you want to break the heavens, you won't find out, Bai Feng shrugged. All I can say is that everything you're suspecting is wrong. Do you know what I'm thinking? Yi Zichen frowned. I don't know, but I'm sure you're wrong, Bai Feng giggled. Because this top secret is something you can't even think of. You really can't tell me? Yi Zichen winked at Bai Feng. Bai Feng's words left him hanging. I can't. Bai Feng shrugged. This is something only you can know. You can't even discuss it with people of the same level. Do you really have to go that far? Yi Zichen frowned. Alright, I've said enough to you. Looking at the time, the octagon table should be over by now. Yi Zichen didn't know where Bai Feng got her confidence from. The Virtual World Corporation is about to come out and explain. How did you know? I have informants, Bai Feng grinned. I have people among the 8 major heads. What do you think? Aren't I very capable? And they're all core members? Core members? Even the weakest were at least at the sovereign level. Bai Feng's words proved that she had more than 8 supreme-level experts working for her. Yi Zichen really didn't understand. Why would a major figure like her befriend someone who'd just broken through to the star level? Server announcement. 1 hour later, the Virtual World Corporation will explain the deaths of Second World players. Virtual Network users, please head to the Virtual World Corporation's official website to watch the live broadcast. Chapter 2180. On the 3rd day of the incident, billions of human beings eagerly awaited the explanation. It was finally here. The Virtual World Corporation's official website was live streaming. Before it even officially started, Yi Zichen saw a long line of viewers appear on the livestream. The news was rolling so fast that it was impossible to catch it with the naked eye. You went to the virtual network? In the safe zone of the novice village, Bai Feng poked Yi Zichen's arm. Yeah. Yi Zichen nodded. Was there even a need to ask? Never mind Yi Zichen, more than 90% of the human race had come. Even if he didn't play the Second World. Knowing that something big had happened to the Virtual World Corporation, even if it was just to join in the fun, everyone would still come to watch the show. Furthermore, the virtual network was closely related to humanity. The entire human race was using the virtual network. If the Virtual World Corporation wanted to betray the human race with a single thought, all living beings were annihilated. For the sake of his own life, he had to come to the live broadcast room to listen to the explanation of the Virtual World Corporation. You didn't come? There were a lot of people. Why would I go there? If I wanted to ask, I could just go to the virtual network and contact the head of the Virtual World Corporation. Bai Feng shrugged nonchalantly. What the F***ck? Why did it feel like Bai Feng was putting on an act? Contact the head of the Virtual World Corporation. What kind of words were these? There were so many people in the live stream room waiting for the upper echelons of the Virtual World Corporation to appear. I don't want to talk to you, Yi Zichen rolled his eyes. I'm telling the truth. If you don't believe me, I'll contact her right now, Bai Feng said. I believe you. Don't speak any more, deity, Yi Zichen sighed. Actually, there's really nothing to see. 100 Phoenix said. If Jiu were to appear, then she would definitely say something about the Virtual World Group and not betraying the human race. If it's Big Sister Wanli, it'll be interesting. Who's Wunli? Asked Yizichin. The head of the Virtual World Corporation, White Phoenix said. All right, he felt as though Bai Feng had put on an act again. However, the White Phoenix clan was one of the 5 god clans, and they could attend the octagonal table conference. It was understandable that they knew some of the top figures. It looked like she was pretending. In reality, his strength did not allow him to keep a low profile. Why do I say that Wunli is the head of the Virtual Realm Corporation? It will be more interesting if she shows up, Yizichin said. He saw quite a few people in the livestream room. They clamored for the head of the Virtual World Corporation to come out and explain, and for her to apologize to the entire human race. They also had to compensate for their losses. Big Sister Wunli's beauty is proportional to her temper. Bai Feng smiled and raised her eyebrows. If she's in a good mood, she might explain. If you're in a bad mood, see, if you talk too much, you won't have a sense of anticipation, right? White Phoenix pretended to be mysterious. Yizichin frowned and looked towards the livestream. There was still a long way to go before the 1-hour time limit. All he could see were the humans in the live streaming room chatting away. After a long time, an hour had passed. The live broadcast on the official website of the Virtual World Corporation started right on time. So many people? In front of the screen was a cute girl. Yizichin was shocked when he saw that. He had thought that it would be the higher-ups of the Virtual World Corporation. Wasn't it a little perfunctory for a young lady to come? As expected, he wasn't the only one who thought this way. Everyone in the live broadcast room was asking the girl to step down and replace her with someone in charge. I am the second leader of the Virtual World Corporation. Nine-faced hegemon. Holy shit, Yizichin was instantly dumbfounded. What does the nine-faced hegemon look like? Yizichin returned to the game and asked. I'm not sure, White Phoenix shrugged. Bai Feng shrugged. Listen to her name, Nine Faces. No one has seen her real face, maybe only Big Sister Wunli has, but she usually likes to use a little lowly face. Yizichin looked towards the livestream room. The person who calls herself the Nine-Faced Hegemon really does have a lowly face. Many people in the livestream room were in disbelief. The Nine-Faced Hegemon acted as if he didn't see the messages. I'm very sorry. Due to some small circumstances, I caused the players to be frightened. I would like to sincerely apologize to everyone here. The Nine-Faced Hegemon bowed deeply and spoke. I would like to solemnly promise everyone here that everything the Virtual World Corporation does is for the development of the human race. Before the human race turns their backs on us, we will not do anything that harms the human race. Yizichin raised his eyebrows. It really was as White Phoenix said. The Nine-Faced Hegemon didn't explain the problems in the game. Instead, he said that he would not betray the human race. As for the game, Second World, developed by my company, the Virtual World Corporation does have to bear some of the responsibility for the deaths of in-game characters in real life. We didn't notify them in advance, causing many players to die without knowing it. Because of this, the Virtual World Corporation is willing to compensate the players who died. The Nine-Faced Overlord was expressionless as he glanced at the message. They don't seem to believe me. What should we do? Why are you saying so much nonsense to them? A voice suddenly sounded out from the screen. Big Sis. Not long later, a breathtakingly beautiful woman with 9 tails appeared on the screen. Nine-tailed fox. Yizichin raised his eyebrows, then saw the woman coldly looking at the livestream messages. Who are you telling to F***ck off? Huh! I'm telling you, the Virtual World Corporation can't be bothered to explain to you. Do whatever you want. Come and find me at the Virtual World Corporation if you dare. Go to the Supreme Association and complain about us. We will definitely compensate the dead. As for anything else, we can't be bothered to explain. Nine-Faced, let's go and have a drink with Big Sis. With that, the nine-tailed fox girl walked out while wagging her tail. The curses in the live stream grew louder and louder. The Nine-Faced Hegemon smiled wryly, not knowing what to do. At that moment, the nine-tailed fox girl, who was walking in front, suddenly walked back and looked at the messages on the screen. "You're screwed." All of a sudden, the nine-tailed fox girl pointed at the livestream screen, as if she had already seen the person on the other side of the screen through the internet. "I'm in a really bad mood today. Technology department. Here." A bowed middle-aged man ran over on the screen, while continuously wiping his sweat. "Filter all of these messages. Arrest anyone who uses insulting words to slander the Virtual World Corporation. There's no need to ask for permission from the higher-ups. If the Supreme Association shows up, beat them up." The nine-tailed fox girl snorted coldly. "Beat up anyone who dares to stop us. Beat up anyone who dares to resist. I'm going to let these people know. The internet is definitely not a lawless place." Chapter 2181. This big sister was most likely the person Bai Feng had mentioned, the head of the Virtual World Corporation. Wenli Yizichen gulped. This head was truly special to be able to do such a thing in public relations. The Virtual World Corporation was clearly at the heart of the struggle. She was still intensifying the conflict. If this continued, wouldn't the Virtual World Corporation become the public enemy of the entire human race? Little did they know, Yizichen didn't know that Wenli had already declared war on the Supremes Association. She dared to do this. How could she be afraid of intensifying the conflict? "Big sister, go back and rest. Leave this to me." The nine-faced overlord smiled wryly. The nine-tailed fox girl stared coldly at the messages on the screen. "Some people can't be spoiled. They're not very capable. They're just relying on their connections to intimidate others. If they're truly capable, why are they cowering in the human race's safe zone?" "Big sister," the nine-faced overlord let out a long sigh. "All right, I got it. You deal with it. Also, bring me the people I mentioned just now," the nine-tailed fox girl roared. "Yes, Your Excellency." The middle-aged man nodded and wiped his sweat. It seemed Wenli's words really had an effect. The stream of insults directed at the Virtual World Corporation had lessened considerably. There were plenty of internet thugs everywhere. "My apologies. Let's continue." Yizichen wasn't sure if that had been intentional or not. If it really had been an accident, then the Virtual World Corporation could just shut down the stream and prevent conflict from intensifying. Then, he saw that the insults had lessened considerably. Yizichen suspected that it might have been intentional. Everyone can use the virtual network without worry. As for the reason, I won't explain. Of course, we won't force you if you don't need to. This time, we're mainly going to explain the game Second World. Yizichen listened to the nine-faced overlord's words. Yizichen grew serious. In the future, players will only have one life. If you die in the game, you die in reality as well. What were they trying to do? The messages in the livestream were also filled with questions. A series of questions. "I've seen everyone's status, so I want to ask you a question. May I ask, how many lives do you have? Is it only one?" The nine-faced overlord smiled and faced the screen. "Since you only have one life in the real world, and you won't have a second chance after death, then why is there such a strong reaction in the second world? Some people will say, is the game the same as reality? That's right. If it's just a simple virtual game, it naturally can't be compared to reality. But is Second World a game? You can extract everything in the game and materialize it in reality. Do you think this is a game?" The nine-faced overlord paused for a moment. "For this game, our virtual world has placed all the resources of the corporation within it. All of them exist in reality. That is why you can extract them. Let me put it this way, everything in this game is real. The NPCs you come into contact with, the monsters you encounter outside, and the dungeons you go through are all real. Perhaps you will say, how is this possible? Yes, I saw the same exclamation in the live broadcast just now. In the face of such doubts, I would like to ask, did you guys notice the name of the game? Yi Zichen frowned as well. Second World. Just like the name suggested, it was a second world. Anyone would think that the virtual world was one world, and the real world was another. What was there to notice? Real. Yi Zichen thought about the 4 words that appeared many times from the nine-faced overlord's mouth. Everything is real. In other words, the game world you guys think of is real. The nine-faced overlord smiled in front of the screen. The entire live broadcast room paused for a few seconds. Then, it was just that the scrolling became fiercer and more information appeared. Actually, we were going to make an announcement about this a few months later. What a pity! Since the question has been raised, then we have to explain. If we explain, then we have to explain. The world of this game is actually the original universe that the head of our virtual world, Wenli, discovered. It is also the second universe that coexists with our current human universe. For the humans of the current universe, our virtual world corporation spent countless wealth, manpower and resources to present this universe in the form of an online game in front of you. Gulp. Yi Zichen gulped. Baifeng. I know. Baifeng nodded, as if she already knew what Yi Zichen was going to ask. Before this original universe appeared, I even went there. This place was actually discovered by the Lord of the Milky Way. Wenli went there with Yin He, and then I went there as well. Everything there is the same as our universe. It is a completely parallel existence, Baifeng said. In other words, it is the game world we are in right now. Then the NPCs here. It's the natives, Baifeng smiled. When we arrived here, there was already life here. Actually, this game was also the Lord of the Milky Way's idea. The Lord of the Milky Way's idea? Yi Zichen was shocked. The Lord of the Milky Way felt that the existence of this universe is a hidden threat to humanity. Back then, the Supreme Beings had held a secret meeting, and it was precisely to deal with this universe. Half of them felt that it should be destroyed. The Lord of the Milky Way felt that it was unfair to those beings, so he decided to merge that universe with ours. Oh yeah, I voted against that meeting. I don't support the Lord of the Milky Way's idea, Baifeng said. Why? The merging of universes is too shocking. The unknown threat is too great. I think it is a crazy decision, Baifeng shrugged. Baifeng shrugged. It's a pity that big sister Wenli agreed to it, and she has been studying it since. Then, according to what you said, now that the Virtual World Corporation has released this game, they are going to, yes, merge the universes. As soon as White Phoenix finished speaking, the nine-faced overlord in the live stream channel followed suit. Right now, you are actually in a real universe. Death is, of course, true death. After this, the Virtual World Corporation will continue to research and bring the game into reality. In other words, merge the universes. Chapter 2182. Virtual Network Octagonal Table Meeting. Less than 2 hours after it ended, another emergency meeting was held, but this time it was through the Virtual World Network. Compared to before this time, there were only 8 leaders sitting at the octagonal table. There was no one else. You really dare to use the virtual network? Aren't you afraid that I'll give the order to kill you all? Wenli's face was flushed and his eyes no longer had the murderous look from before. Instead, he looked a little dazed and his clothes were disheveled, revealing a large patch of his snow-white chest. Her enchanting eyes glanced at the leaders around her. In the entire conference space, Wenli was the only female leader of the 8 parties who could sit at the octagonal table. Even these leaders. At that moment, he felt like he was about to sink into it. Wenli, you've been drinking again. Blue Emperor stepped forward and tugged at Wenli's shirt. Wenli narrowed her eyes, tilted her head, and said finish. Blue Emperor, how did you know that I drank? I didn't. I just drank some fruit juice. You get drunk the moment you touch the alcohol. Blue Tharch suddenly swallowed the words he was about to say. Stop drinking. I'm going to your floating city now. All right, Wunli smiled and immediately looked at the others. Why did you suddenly call for an emergency meeting? Are you going to declare war on me? Wunli, the results of the trial have come out, and you are found not guilty by a unanimous vote. The leader of the Mercenary Alliance said, The reason we called you here is to ask you about the second universe. You guys watch the live stream, seriously? Wunli shook her head silently. If it weren't for the virtual network, everyone would have suspected that they would have smelled the strong smell of alcohol on her. What do you want to ask? Ask away. You guys better hurry up. I'm going to rest. Before she finished speaking, Wunli suddenly left the virtual network. Everyone in the conference room looked at the figure that suddenly disappeared and the empty chair in front of them. Is he drunk? The head of the Alchemy Guild raised his eyebrows. I'm sorry, Wunli is just like that. Her alcohol tolerance was very poor. She would get drunk with just a drop of alcohol and she would lose her composure. He and I used to watch over her and never let her drink. Lan Di explained to Wunli and looked at the crowd. I know about the matters of the second universe. You can ask me anything you want. You know? The leader of the Mercenary Alliance frowned. Can't I? Blue Emperor looked at him unkindly. Blue Emperor had never been friendly to the leader of the Mercenary Alliance. They used to be classmates, students of the old president, and they even called each other brothers. The leader of the Mercenary Alliance was his senior brother, and Blue Emperor was his junior brother. They clearly had this layer of relationship, and now they were both big shots who held great power, but their relationship had become worse. The Union Bank prohibited it. You are not allowed to have private dealings with anyone from the Mercenary Alliance. The leader of the Mercenary Alliance smiled when he sensed Emperor Lan's gaze. How is that possible? I'm just a little surprised. But with your relationship with Wunli and the degree of cooperation between the Virtual World Group and the United Bank, it's understandable that you would know. Also, junior brother, please be more polite to me, okay? Heh. The Blue Emperor was non-committal. Everyone felt that the situation between the two sides was not right. The leader of the Dan Alliance quickly changed the topic. Blue Deity, what's going on with this second universe? The second universe belongs to the Milky Way Master. He discovered it by chance while exploring the universe. Although Blue Emperor treated the leader of the Mercenary Alliance badly, he treated everyone else very normally. Master of the Galaxy? The leader of the Alchemy Guild raised his eyebrows. The old president clenched his fist and frowned. Why didn't he mention it before? Because it's not time yet. The Blue Emperor smiled. He knows your personality very well. If you really knew about this, you should know what you would do. The old president clenched his fist and did not speak. Blue Emperor continued, The Milky Way Master did not want the human race to fall into panic, so very few people knew about it. Including me, there were only 4 people. Wunli, you, he, and who else? Spirit Phoenix. The Blue Emperor smiled. Venerable Spirit Phoenix also went there. So Fire Lady went there. Everyone nodded. The Blue Emperor was really worried about Wunli's situation. After she drank, she lost all rationality. What she did was even more shocking. He was very worried that Wunli would do something out of line, so he did not wait for the others to ask and told them everything. The 4 of us had a total of 4 meetings. The main discussion was whether to destroy this universe or keep it. The 4 of us represented everyone and voted. 3 ties. The last time, I changed sides and followed Inhe's wishes to merge the universes. 100 Phoenix was against it from start to finish. What right do you have to replace us? The Candlelight Overlord roared. We did not replace you. You are not the paramount. You have no right to be replaced by us. The Blue Emperor's expression was indifferent. The Candlelight Overlord clenched his fists, unable to say a word. Right, actually, you all participated. Do you remember the message we sent you before? Do you think that all life has the right to live? You all answered, the Blue Emperor said. This question is about the second universe? The leaders of the Alchemy Guild and the Weapon Guild could not help but look at each other. They had indeed received this question. Even the leader of the Mercenary Alliance had received it. When Fire Lady sent it to me, I was a little puzzled. She insisted that I answer. The leader of the Alchemy Guild exclaimed. This was Inhe's idea. He said not to mention this matter. Consider purely from the perspective of life and ask every paramount. Since we were tied the previous few times, we finally came up with this idea. Inhe won. When Li and I chose to support him, the Blue Emperor said. And then you started merging the universes? That's right. The Blue Emperor nodded. At first, I also thought this idea was crazy. But what the Milky Way Master said made sense. What did he say? The leader of the Weapon Guild asked. He said that all life has a chance to live. We should not destroy their future. Moreover, we have already developed too much of the universe's resources. If we continue, it will harm the universe's origin. But if we merge the universes, the new universe will have rich resources. It is not a bad thing for us, the Blue Emperor replied. For a moment, everyone was silent. The Milky Way Master was right. As far as the universe they lived in was concerned, there were not many resources left that could be developed and used. The universe's energy was not as abundant as before. Over the years, humans had begun to stop developing resources and create more renewable resources. If they could merge the universes, how confident are you? After a long silence, the old president suddenly spoke. The Blue Emperor smiled silently and looked into the old president's eyes. 100%. Chapter 2183. You don't need to look at me like that. When I say 100%, it means 100%. In order to fuse with the second universe, Li, Inhe and I have made ample preparations. Emperor Lan looked at everyone at the table. Inhe. The old head hesitated. Teacher, there's actually something I didn't say in the meeting. Have you ever thought about being tricked by others? Emperor Lan smiled at the head of the Mercenary Alliance. Master of the Galaxy, think about it carefully. Would he betray us? We're not talking about the Master of the Galaxy, the head frowned. We're talking about the fusion of universes. What else do you want to know? I've already told you. Emperor Lan smiled at the head of the Mercenary Alliance. Fusion is certain. The arrow has to be fired. Even if you tell us to stop now, it's impossible. When that time comes, everything in the second universe will be superimposed on our universe. Remember what I said, it's superimposition. Elemental spirits? Superimposition. Emperor Lan's answer was resolute. As for when exactly the fusion will take place, I'm not sure. Li's virtual group has always been in charge of the technology. Are there really elemental spirits there? Yes. Then is there an origin core? The head of the Weapon Alliance asked tentatively. When the others heard that, they all frowned. They looked at Emperor Lan. Then they heard Emperor Lan's answer. Yes. The second universe is no different from ours. What we once had, they have too. What we don't have, I don't know. I've said everything I need to say. I won't waste any more time. Emperor Lan's seat in the meeting room was empty. Everyone looked at the old head. I've made my decision. Everyone, let's end it here. Game fusion. World materialization. Countless untapped resources. A chance to change the world. The nine-faced overlord uttered words that made one's scalp numb in the live stream. It didn't matter if they believed him or not. The live stream ended. Yi Zichen sat in the novice village's safe zone. The nine-faced overlord's words echoed in his mind. So, have you decided? Bai Feng giggled. Yi Zichen frowned. I'll continue. He would never quit the game. Regardless of whether others believed him or not, he believed the nine-faced overlord's words. Because he had touched it. Land of elements. One had to know that the elemental spirits in this universe had disappeared after the creation of the universe. No one knew where they had gone. Of all the humans in the universe, only the Milky Way Master had an elemental spirit. Now the elemental fairy was in Yi Zichen's hands, which meant that he was the only one who had it. Countless people searched for it, but to no avail. The elemental lands that they found were all abandoned elemental land. In this game, it was also the second universe that the nine-faced overlord mentioned. Yi Zichen entered the land of the elements, which contained plenty of elemental energy. More likely, there were elemental spirit. The second universe was a great opportunity for Yi Zichen. Otherwise, such resources would have long been divided among the universe's top experts. How could it have landed on Yi Zichen, a star-level cultivator? That's right. Bai Feng's eyes were also filled with satisfaction. The second universe is full of unknowns and challenges, but it is also full of opportunities. In our universe, it's too hard to rise above others step by step. Here, everything has yet to be discovered. Wouldn't I be an idiot to give up? You like this place too? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. No, Bai Feng shrugged. I'm already at the peak, so why would I care about that? I just came here for those three materials. Elemental spirits, cosmic crystal cores, elemental cores. You don't want any of them. I'd want them even if you gave them to me. Why wouldn't I? Are you stupid? When Yi Zichen heard Bai Feng's words, he thought that she wouldn't even care. In the end, she was just a commoner. But then again, who wasn't a commoner? Even supreme experts had a chance of dying. Who wouldn't do anything to increase their own strength? Ding. Mail, said Bailey. It's from the Society of Supremes. Do you want to see it? Who? Yi Zichen's heart contracted. The Society of Supremes? Why would he send him an email? What's in it? As he spoke, Yi Zichen saw the contents of the already opened mail. Brave warriors of humanity. The Society of Supremes has made the following decision regarding the Virtual World Corporation. A mass email. When Yi Zichen saw the first part, he relaxed. He'd thought the Society of Supremes had sent it to him on purpose, but now that he'd calmed down, he found it rather funny. Why was the Society of Supremes looking for him? The Society of Supremes supports all of the Virtual World Corporation's decisions, including the fusion of universes and the materialization of world. That single message alone was enough to prove it. Everything the Virtual World Corporation had just said was true. Humans could doubt the Virtual World Corporation, but they absolutely couldn't doubt the Society of Supremes. They were the best judges of humanity. Their authority couldn't be challenged. The Society of Supremes will actively cooperate with the Virtual World Corporation to fuse universes and materialize worlds in the future. The Society of Supremes deeply mourns the accidental deaths of human warriors in the Virtual World Corporation's game, Second World. In the next 3 days, we will give them the honor of being the vanguard of humanity. The Virtual World Corporation is not guilty. Yi Zichen's expression darkened. This was way too real. There wasn't even an explanation, just a single sentence of "not guilty" and an additional honor for their deaths. Why do I feel like the formula is a bit familiar? Big Sister Wenli and Big Brother Blue Emperor are really something. They actually made the Society of Supremes lower their heads. Yi Zichen could tell that White Phoenix had also seen the email and was amazed. Yeah. Yi Zichen nodded, then continued to scroll down. Blank. Is it over? Just as Yi Zichen was about to close the email, Belalai called him back. There's more. What's there? There's nothing else. Yi Zichen looked at the blank content, then continued patiently. Yi Zichen stared at the end of the email. He rubbed his eyes. F***CK. Beside him, White Phoenix also leaped into the air. At the end of the email, cancel the Milky Way's wanted list. Restore the Milky Way's name. Please release the captured members of the Milky Way within 3 days. Milky Way's residents not guilty. Milky Way's master not guilty. Chapter 2184. The Milky Way. Not guilty? When Yizichin read the last part of the email, he was so shocked he lost the ability to think. He was pardoned? How sloppy. After a brief moment of silence, Bai Feng let out a deep sigh, her eyes brimming with disdain. It seems like the very high are no longer fit to be the arbiters of this universe. With that, Bai Feng noticed Yizichin's expression. Hey! Yizichin waved his hand, then came back to his senses. He raised his eyebrows at Bai Feng. What is it? You saw that the Milky Way was pardoned, right? I did. Why? Bai Feng wanted to say something, but she swallowed her words. She was curious about Yizichin's state. The Milky Way was pardoned. The Milky Way was pardoned. Among the entire human race in the universe, there would be many who would reveal emotions of excitement and excitement. No matter what, the Milky Way was once the hero of humanity. It didn't matter if the Milky Way was a traitor or not. There were many people in the universe who didn't believe he would do such a thing. In their hearts, the Milky Way was still a hero. Now that the Milky Way and the Milky Way were pardoned, many people would definitely be happy. But Yizichin's emotions were very complicated. In the end, he felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. It was as if he, who had once been burdened with a heavy burden, could finally let out a long sigh of relief. Bai Feng didn't understand why Yizichin was like this. She found it strange, but didn't probe further. Do you have any plans for the future? Asked Bai Feng. Plans? Yizichin was stunned. He didn't quite understand what Bai Feng was referring to. That's the game, White Phoenix said with a smile. Don't underestimate the attractiveness of a primeval universe, even if this game only has one life. Even if this game only has one life, there will still be many humans entering it. What's more, the primeval universe will merge with our own universe in the future. Fighting for resources in this universe will be even fiercer than before. Ding, the game is about to update. Please log out of the game as soon as possible to avoid unnecessary losses. The game server announcement was made more than 10 times. Bai Feng stretched her back lazily and smiled. Big Sister Wenli is really anxious. This is also good. The human race in the universe also needs time to absorb this explosive truth. During this period, you should also think about your future path. With that, White Phoenix left the novice village's safe zone, while Yizichin logged out of the game as well. Holy shit! F***ck me. F***ck me. As soon as I left the game, I heard Bar shouting in the living room. When he saw Yizichin return, Bar instantly walked up to him. Yizi, our time has come. Bar grabbed Yizichin's hand excitedly like a child who got candy. What is it? Yizichin frowned. The second universe. Bar's eyes widened. Don't tell me you don't know what the second universe is. Isn't it the primeval universe? Yeah. Bar nodded heavily. Aren't you excited? The primeval universe has resources that have yet to be mined. You have to know that our universe has been around for too long, and all the resources that can be mined have already been mined. It's impossible for us to have those top-notch resources in our era. I know. Yizichin could understand that. Ignoring the universe, just take Earth, where he used to live. Humans were definitely the strongest in the primeval era in terms of physical fitness. Back then, humans could use their own strength to hunt ferocious beasts for food. If modern people went, they would most likely die several hundred times over. The progress of the human era was the progress of technology. The cultivators that were once everywhere were only left in the modern era. The depletion of spiritual energy and the depletion of resources forced humans to start from technology in order to improve themselves. The universe was the same. Back when the universe was just born, the abundant elemental energy and cosmic energy allowed humans to rise above the universe level in a short period of time. Back then, even if there weren't overlords and sovereigns everywhere, they definitely weren't as scarce as they were now. Anyone with a bit of talent would be able to become a sovereign or above. It wasn't like now, where talent, luck and resources were all necessary in order to become an overlord, a sovereign, or even a titled level. Most of the overlords and sovereigns, actually, they had all received the inheritance of their predecessors. There were very few who managed to reach the level of an overlord with their own strength. For example, Sovereign Hundred Phoenix, Lord Candlelight, they had all received inheritances to reach their current positions. The arrival of the primeval universe of the second universe, just like when the universe was reborn. It allowed the first universe to return to its primeval state. You really do know? Ball frowned. Then why aren't you excited at all? Bro, if we're lucky, then we'll be the future overlords. That's too idealistic, said Yizichin. There was no problem with Ball being excited. The primeval universe did contain such a possibility. However, he had forgotten the most important point. Population. Life in the primeval universe had just been born. There were fewer people back then, but more resources. If the primeval universe was a gold mine, then the humans in the primeval universe could each get a ton of gold. But now all of the humans in the first universe had entered the second universe. One had to know that the humans in the first universe were already extremely saturated. It was still calculated according to the gold mine. If it was calculated according to the number of people, then everyone would get a share. However, there was only 1 gram of gold. It was possible that it would be even less. From the looks of it, even though the second universe had endless opportunities, it was pitifully small compared to the large number of humans. After experiencing so many things, Yizichin was already a calm person. He couldn't be as excited as Ball. Tisk, boring. Ball twitched his mouth when he saw Yizichin's expression. I'm going to find Bei-in. Then, he ran towards Bei-in happily. Yizichin sat on the sofa and thought about the game. There were definitely opportunities, but it definitely wasn't something that could be grabbed easily. But now there was a chance in front of Yizichin. The land of the elements. There might be an elemental fairy hidden there. If he could capture it, then Yizichin's strength would definitely increase by leaps and bounds. The problem was, he only had 1 life. The land of the elements was extremely dangerous. Yizichin was instantly killed the last time he went there. It was fortunate that the game hadn't updated, otherwise, he would have to say goodbye to the world. Someone added you as a friend in the virtual world. Bailey stood on Yizichin's shoulder and said, Who? Her request is, I'm Saya.